After being blinded by her own master and killed along with the female demon head, Lin Suying relied on a wisp of residual soul to survive. She was also imprisoned by her own master in the Heavenly Dao Sect and was not allowed to practice as a low-level laborer, because she was afraid that she would go out to cultivate the demon path. Lin Suying was lost in thought as she gazed at her inheritance of the Sea Maiden Demon Head. Years later. Fairy, your clone hung up again. Tiandao Sect worker Lin Suying. Ah! The leader of the righteous path. Being pulled to host the demon-slaying conference. Demon ancestor. Watching the demonic sects beating chicken blood. The holy lord of the demon clan. Observing the two righteous and demonic paths pinching each other. Medical fairy. Flipping through the notebook to see who can be saved or not. The richest man in the business world. They are inflating prices and making war profits. Tiandao Sect worker Lin Suying. There are too many clones, and it's really annoying to see which one is hanging. The fallen leaves in the library haven't been cleaned yet, so don't beat them and they will all scatter. From then on, the world of cultivation has been peaceful and prosperous. Asterisk. How is it enough to take one of the 3,000 main roads? I, Lin Suying, need to cultivate countless methods through endless years in order to live up to this life of entering the Tao and seeking immortality. Asterisk. Female powerhouse without CP, orthodox cultivation and refreshing writing. Keywords of the novel. The cultivators are all me without pop-ups. The cultivators are all me. Download the complete TXT collection, and the cultivators are all my latest chapters to read. Chapter 1. Tiandao Sect's Miscellaneous Servants. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 1. Tiandao Sect's Miscellaneous Servants. Live on. Even if you become a ghost or a demon, you still have to live. Lin Suying suddenly woke up as if she was in an ice cellar, covered in cold, which made her whole body ache. She lowered her head to look at herself, her soul covered in cracks like shattered glass, almost transparent and floating in mid-air, and the corpse in the coffin below could be seen through her body. The body was emaciated, with pale skin covered in stitches, but there were still some spots on the body that continued to ulcerate. My soul is about to shatter, and my flesh is rotten beyond repair. I have to spend a lot of spiritual stones to buy materials and refine new corpses. Why am I still a poor ghost after I die? Lin Suying sighed in frustration and reattached her soul back to the corpse. Dang, 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 the bell rang 3 times, and it was already dawn. Lin Suying crawled out of the coffin stiff and had to go to the sex restaurant to find some animal bones and refine new flesh. Tiandao Sect, Jinyuan Mountain. The mountain protection formation is like a huge glass cup hanging upside down over the entire mountain range, with clouds rolling and flowing, all gathering spiritual energy. Immortal birds and exotic beasts frolic in the mountains, while Taoist monks pass by with swords. Under the distant mountains, the boys chased and made noise, afraid of missing morning classes. In the martial arts arena, the cultivators breathed in spiritual energy, practiced spells, and danced with rainbow lights, creating a lively atmosphere. Lin Suying was stiff as she moved on the cobblestone road, with a loose and crooked bun and a loose gray robe hanging on her body, highlighting her thin and frail body. Because she was a dead person, her face was expressionless like a zombie, and there was a black stitch on her right eyebrow bone, which was gloomy and stiff. Keep away from strangers. At this moment, her legs were hard to bend, and lifting her hands to jump and walk was definitely faster than moving, but she didn't want to become a laughing stock and wanted some face. Ah Gui, hurry up. The newly arrived iron-armored bull corpse is so hard that it can't even be chopped open. It's up to you. At the entrance of the restaurant, Zhao Dehai, covered in fat, leaned against the doorpost, grabbing melon seeds and waving at Lin Suying while spitting out his skin. It seems that apart from the high-ranking officials of the Heavenly Dao Sect, no one knows the origin of Ah Gui, or even her real name. They only know that she is a ghost cultivator. She was originally an evil demon and a crooked path that is difficult to tolerate in the cultivation world, but she lived in peace within the Orthodox sect and has been working as a laborer in the library for over 100 years. At first, Zhao Dahai was also very afraid of this zombie like Agui, afraid of being sucked and swallowed by her soul. However, after several encounters, he found that she was deeply hidden and had some vulgarity. As long as the spirit stone was in place, it was not a problem to ask for her help. Lin Suying followed Zhao Dahai to the backyard and saw the small mountain-like body of an iron-armored bull hanging high, covered in black iron armor with a metallic luster, covered in the marks of cutting and burning with knives, and several curly-edged pig-killing knives thrown beside it. The iron-armored bull during the Foundation construction period was specially hunted by Lord Chongqing for his beloved disciple Qin Yi, but it needs to be handled carefully. I have found various places to strike, but I cannot break through this iron armor. Lin Suying expressionlessly extended her hand and said, 10 inferior items. His voice was hoarse, like dry firewood. You're taking advantage of the fire to rob, there can't be more than 5, Zhao Dahai sprayed melon seeds. Lin Suying turned around and left without any hesitation. There are only 10 good ones. Chongqing Jinjuan has a bad temper, and Qin Yi is the chief disciple of this generation. I, Zhao Dahai, am just a miscellaneous cook with 4 spiritual roots, and no one can afford to offend me. I want bones. Zhao Dahai's mouth twitched and said, I'll spend 10 inferior spirit stones on you, and in the end, I'll have to add bones. This is a monster during the Foundation building period, and bones can sell as little as 5 inferior spirit stones. Lin Suying glanced at him and turned around before leaving. Okay, my aunt. Whoever you learned this trick from, I'll give it to you. But I'll use the tail bone to stew soup. Chongqing Jinjuan specifically explained that Qin Yi is a coastal person and often misses the cow tail soup from his hometown. Lin Suying nodded and rolled up her sleeves, revealing her withered arm covered in dead spots and stitches. Alas! Those of us who don't have the right qualifications are those who don't live up to their superior qualifications. The Qin Yi Feng Lei twin different spirit roots, as soon as they entered the sect, were recognized by the immortal Lord Chongqing as their own disciples. It's really enviable that they have only been practicing qi and building foundations for 3.5 years. Lin Suying remained silent, selecting the appropriate knife from the nearby knife holder. However, the earliest record of our Heavenly Dao Sect's foundation construction was 3 years, which was achieved by the disciples of Shojin Immortal Lord, 1 month earlier than Immortal Lord himself. Shojin Immortal Lord was the first person in the cultivation world. It is said that Chongqing Immortal Lord had put in a lot of effort to become a disciple of Shojin Immortal Lord, and in the end, he only received a few words of guidance. However, this one sentence made Chongqing Immortal Lord the first emperor of the Xuanming generation. 100 years ago, during the rebellion of the Demon Way, the leader of the Demon Way ultimately died under the command of Shojin Immortal Lord. Unfortunately, Shojin Immortal Lord has been in seclusion for the past 100 years, and his stunning disciple is also nowhere to be found. The sect is very secretive about him, and now they are afraid that Shojin Immortal Lord will suddenly ascend. Currently, there is no one in the Heavenly Dao Sect who can replace him. Unfortunately, his disciple heard that he had already completed his cultivation in the later stage of refining the void. If he were still here now, he would probably have had a period of integration, and he was only 1 step away from the Mahayana Immortal Lord. Zhao Dahai kept chattering beside her, and Lin Suying started cutting and quickly peeled off a whole piece of iron armor from the iron-armored bull. Fresh blood splattered on her pale face, and an excited look appeared in her eyes. She took a deep breath, and strands of residual soul energy rushed into her nostrils. It was really delicious. Unfortunately, she was just a little short of practicing that technique secretly, otherwise she would be able to attach herself to the newly deceased corpse, even if it was a monster corpse. At least we can leave the Heavenly Dao Sect with this and go outside to find some heavenly materials and treasures to make a strong body for the soul body, instead of having to replace it in less than 3 months like we do now. Taking a breath, Lin Suying began to peel flesh and bones. As the pig-killing knife swung, Zhao Dehai could only feel the shadow of the sword flying in front of him, as if he was not watching Lin Suying relieve the cow, but rather wielding his sword and fighting in a bloody battle. He was captured by the murderous intent of the sword's shadow, trembling coldly. When he regained consciousness, Lin Suying had already dealt with everything and was putting the dismantled bones into his back cage. The meat is divided into pieces with neat textures, and there are no scratches on the bones. Her cutting angle and technique are simply extraordinary. If it were to dismember a person, Zhao Dehai shivered uncontrollably, afraid to think about it anymore, feeling like Ague had killed many people before his death. Apart from the bones of the armored bull, Lin Suying still carried away the abandoned monster bones in the corner of the wall in front of Zhao Dehai. Her almost bursting back cage was clearly unable to fit, and she even stomped down with her feet, expressionless but greedy in her eyes. "Help you take the garbage away, don't thank me." Zhao Dehai's mouth twitched. Although those white bones were not valuable, they could be ground into bone powder and sold to the alchemist to exchange for 1 or 2 inferior spirit stones. "Give me the money," said the skinny hand in front of me, confidently taking the spirit stone. Although Lin Suying's facial expression could not change, there was a hint of joy in her eyes. In addition to purchasing materials for creating new bodies, you can also buy a few low-quality beast soul absorbers to make her soul stronger and prevent her from being expelled from her body every night. Her soul is fragile and can only be protected by hiding inside her physical body. Lin Suying carefully collected 10 spirit stones and looked down at her blood-red clothes, hurriedly searching for water sources. At this time, she could quickly knead and wash them clean, but when the blood dried, it was difficult to clean them. Just as she was thinking about it, a clear breeze swept over her and all the blood stains on her Taoist robe disappeared. Zhao Dehai had kindly used the technique of purifying dust to help her clean it up. "Those wounds on your body can be healed by someone who knows the rejuvenation technique. Why bother sewing so many threads?" Zhao Dehai suggested. "Because of poverty." Lin Suying answered in a low voice, picked up her backpack and left. For a cultivator, it would be difficult for her to do a spell. After all, she had no cultivation. When a medical practitioner uses a rejuvenation technique, they need to collect a lower-grade spirit stone. There are at least 180 wounds on her body, so it's better to sew them yourself. Ugliness is nothing, poverty is terrifying. Let's endure it again, endure it for 100 years, not short of these 1 or 2 days. As soon as she walked to the entrance of the restaurant, Lin Suying saw a middle-aged man from the Xuanming period, Xiu, breaking through the air. He was as beautiful as a crown jade, with an immortal aura that was pressing. He was the first Xuanming generation throne mentioned by Zhao Dehai earlier, the Chongqing True Lord. With 4 eyes facing each other, Evergreen Jinjuan looked at the cold face of Qin Lin Su's shadow, which was exactly the same as before. He clenched his right hand and turned his back to his back. Lin Suying tightened her shoulder straps and walked past him expressionlessly. "Hello junior brother, goodbye junior brother." A hoarse voice came, and Chongqing Jinjuan turned to look at her with a furrowed brow. "What about learning from Feng Shoujin? At this moment, he is not just an incompetent ghost cultivator imprisoned in the Heavenly Dao Sect." Feeling cursed in his heart, Chongqing Jinjuan had a fiery expression on his face. He remembered how he had been persistently fighting against Lin Suying, relying on the guidance of the immortal lord to obtain the title of junior brother. He felt both ashamed and frustrated, and felt heartbroken after 100 years of agony. "I didn't even know how to ask for help. Even if it turned out like this, my deep sense of aloofness never changed. Oh my. Chongqing Jinjuan, why did you come in person? The meat is ready and we'll serve it now." Zhao Dehai ran out of the restaurant, bowing in fear of angering Chongqing Jinjuan, and trying his best to please Xuanming Jinjuan with a few words of guidance. Chongqing Jinjuan's face was as heavy as water, and with a flick of his big sleeve, he stepped into the restaurant without paying any attention to Zhao Dehai. End of this chapter. Chapter 2. Great Achievements of Divine Arts. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 2. Great Achievements of Divine Arts. On the mountain path, the scorching sun shines brightly, and there are no trees to shade it. Lin Suying struggled with her steps, the bones on her back were too heavy, and the straps were stuck in her flesh, causing the bones to click and hiss, giving a feeling of almost breaking. Before the new body is made, the old body cannot be damaged, otherwise she will have to roll her head to the library. It's not difficult to roll away, but I'm afraid I'll be kicked as a ball by the little rabbit from the outside goal halfway. It's been too many times. 2 years ago, she was kicked onto a tree in the Thousand Pine Forest. If it weren't for a woodcutter who saved her, she might have been used as a nest by a lark to hatch eggs. Later on, although she created her own flying head technique, her soul power was insufficient and she dared not use it recklessly unless she had to. Lin Suying took a breath and continued on, hearing laughter coming from above her head along the way. 7 layers of Qi Cultivation, Cloud-Piercing Sword, worth 37 yuan. Lower grade Spirit Stones, 9 layers of Qi Cultivation, Yutian Sua, worth 41 yuan. Why are everyone richer than me? This is unreasonable. Lin Suying did not look up, but based solely on the intensity and sound of the airflow when flying, she could determine the cultivation of the person passing by and the magic weapon being controlled. Even the miscellaneous disciples within the Heavenly Dao Sect can control the low-altitude flight of magical tools, but she cannot. Yes, everything is her fault, damn ghost body, damn Heavenly Dao Sect. I really want to kill someone and take up my body. In this way, I can practice. At least I can use a storage bag to store these bones and have a yellow talisman paper crane as a means of transportation. It won't be so hard anymore. Dong! With a muffled sound, Lin Suying's head suddenly lowered and a dagger added to the back of her head. See, it's right on the bullseye. Ha ha ha, it's really fun. I'll come next time too. The childish laughter stirred up waves of air rushing over her head, and Lin Suying sighed helplessly as she pulled out her dagger from the back of her head and flipped it over in her hand. The materials are good. I can exchange them for a lower-grade spirit stone and make a profit. Putting away the dagger, Lin Suying watched as the 2 brats rushed out of the mountain protection formation without any obstacles, freely soaring back and forth in pursuit. A hint of envy filled her eyes. Walking to the foot of the library mountain and watching the countless steps leading straight into the endless sky, Lin Suying's legs softened and her body couldn't help but shake. She has been walking and cursing for 100 years on this ladder to the sky, but there is no missing step, and she still shivers her liver and legs every time. The scorching sun made her dizzy. Looking at the bones in her cage, Lin Suying suddenly regretted taking so many monster bones for a small advantage. But at this moment, let her lose these monster bones, and she feels a pain in the flesh. These are all spirit stones. Forget it, there's no one around, why don't she jump up? At this moment, a delicate jade hand suddenly picked up her back cage. Can I take you up there? Lin Suying turned her head and saw the female cultivator of the foundation building standing aside, dressed in a light green long dress, with a cold and fairy-like appearance, giving people a sense of indifference that kept them away from 1,000 miles away. Suddenly, Lin Suying seemed to see her former self. She looked down at the token on her waist and realized that she was Qin Yi. This was the first time she had seen this chief disciple who had recently made a name for herself in the inner sect, and she didn't know that her appearance and temperament were so similar to her former self. Lin Suying blinked and approached Qin Yi cautiously, asking, "Is it charged?" Qin Yi was taken aback for a moment, then shook her head. Lin Suying felt a sense of peace in her heart, and seeing Qin Yi immediately made her look much more pleasing. Qin Yi raised her hand and a cloud barrier flew out of her sleeve. She put Lin Suying's back cage directly into the storage bracelet and flew high into the sky with Lin Suying. Lin Suying secretly looked at Qin Yi, who was also a storage bracelet and a top-notch cloud and smoke barrier. From head to toe, they were all magic treasures, and there were no 10,000 spirit stones that could not be taken down. She probably wouldn't appreciate her pile of broken bones, would she? As the cloud smoke barrier was about to reach the mountaintop library, Qin Yi suddenly pulled up the cloud smoke barrier and did not enter the scope of the library. Lin Suying felt a thump in her heart. It's broken. This guy is trying to steal her bones. Just as Lin Suying was restless in her heart, considering whether or not to fight to the death, Qin Yi suddenly looked over with a melancholic expression and a hint of curiosity to explore. What is the feeling of being killed by one's beloved master, Suying Fairy? Lin Suying suddenly looked up at Qin Yi, her face expressionless, but her clear eyes were filled with waves. Lin Suying couldn't make any sound as her dry and hoarse throat was aching and splitting. At this moment, a shooting star suddenly flashed across the sunny sky and headed straight towards a place outside the Heavenly Dao Sect. The setting of stars in the daytime is a sign of great calamity. I will send you to collect books first. Bang! Under the vibration of the power of the stars, Lin Suying's physical body suddenly burst, and her head was blown straight into the clouds. Qin Yi was shocked and lost color, splashed with flesh and blood all over her body, standing on the cloud barrier at a loss. At the moment when her body burst, Lin Suying's first reaction was that it was broken. She's really going to roll her head up the stairs again. The day stars appear, and the sky is filled with brilliant morning light, echoing the vast array of stars in the depths of Lin Suying's divine soul. Lin Suying only then had her second reaction. After practicing hard for 100 years, she finally mastered the soul-splitting and corpse-taking technique in the Zhou Tian Xing Do. When the divine soul resonated with the stars, Lin Suying couldn't help but fall into memories. If it weren't for Qin Yiwen, Lin Suying would have forgotten that she was killed by her master, Fang Shouzhen, who was admired by thousands of people and stood at the top of the cultivation world. 100 years ago, during the rebellion of the Demon Way, the female demon head Yun Zi led 100,000 demon cultivators to crazily slaughter the orthodox sect. Killing and refining corpses, capturing souls and exorcising ghosts, making the world like a nine-hell hell. In just 3 years, the entire cultivation world was filled with war and people were struggling to make ends meet. During those bloody 3 years, she followed Fang Shouzhen, that bastard, to wander around and engage in direct combat with Yun Zi multiple times, but failed to completely kill her. Yun Zi's clones are as numerous as stars, indestructible, and each one has high strength, making her and Fang Shouzhen extremely anxious. Finally, Fang Shouzhen spared no effort in expending his resources and used a secret method to predict the true location of Yun Zi. He then went to great lengths to plan and arrange, finally trapping Yun Zi. That battle caused the collapse of Biya Mountain and the withering of Tianhe Sea. Lin Suying guarded the death gate of the Heavenly Dao Formation, which was originally the last place Yun Zi should break into. If he wanted to escape, he should also go through the life gate. But unfortunately, Yun Zi, who was struggling to survive, panicked and fled to the death gate. Lin Suying fought desperately to stop him, but he was not Yun Zi's opponent. When Fang Shouzhen, who was also seriously injured, arrived, Yun Zi had already broken through the death gate and was about to escape. Fang Shouzhen couldn't make it in time, and she happened to fall in the most suitable position. At that moment, Fang Shouzhen, that bastard, didn't hesitate at all. He grabbed her seriously injured and filled the door to death, blasting her elemental spirit and causing the great formation to perish together with Yun Zi. Having Ying as an apprentice is a blessing in keeping the truth. I'm sorry, Ying. Yun Zi is the leader of the demon path. If we don't eliminate her, the righteous path will be in danger. I can't let the tiger go back to the mountain again no matter what. Lin Suying once thought that she was a very important presence in the eyes of her master, but in the end, she could not compete with the righteousness of life in his heart. She understands the truth, but she doesn't pick it up. Except for the high-level officials of the Heavenly Dao Sect, no one in the entire cultivation world knew about this matter. She didn't even give her the name of a hero, only that Fang Shoujian, that bastard, had calmed the demon trouble and then closed his door, ready to open the heavenly gate at any time and ascend to the immortal realm. With him present, the Heavenly Dao Sect remains the leader of the Dao Sect, intimidating all directions. In fact, Fang Shoujian had already suffered a serious injury that was difficult to heal, and his spiritual energy had dissipated and he was on the brink of death. Only she knows about this matter. To save you, I can only let you become a demon cultivator. The cultivation world cannot tolerate you, but within the Heavenly Dao Sect, no one dares to touch you in a single day. When I was in seclusion, I wronged you to stay in the Heavenly Dao Sect with peace of mind. You enjoy reading, and I have instructed the sect leader to let you guard the academy. I owe you more than I can pay for in this life. If you want to leave, wait until my death clears. Then leave. Speaking grandly, it is actually imprisoning her as a demon and ghost cultivator within the Heavenly Dao Sect, saving her from going through the demon path for survival and causing harm to the world. Now that a century has passed and things have changed, the deadline for Fang Shoujian is not far away. But Lin Suying still felt that he was too firm. If it weren't for her not being able to get into the closed room, she would really want to give him a helping hand on his face. Since the death of Yunzi, the demonic path has collapsed like a building, and has been surrounded and strangled by the righteous path. In addition, over the past century, the Heavenly Dao Sect has been continuously searching and pursuing the remnants of Yunzi's former followers with various sections. The Demon Clan, who were originally allies of the Demon Realm, also retreated to the Demon Night Forest in the southern wilderness. The repeated demon hunting conferences of the Immortal Alliance also exhausted the Demon Clan, and the cultivation world gradually became peaceful. The events of the past have gone with the wind, and the name of the drunken slaying of the Long Sky Shadow without leaving, and the Pure Shadow Fairy, has also disappeared into the dust, leaving only Ah Gui, who everyone in the Heavenly Dao Sect can deceive. Even though she was constantly facing the situation of her soul and body rotting, Lin Suying still wanted to survive. Leave the Heavenly Dao Sect and live freely, even if you enter the demon realm, you must live on. This is her obsession as a ghost cultivator, which enables her to maintain the cohesion of her soul. In other words, as long as the obsession persists, she will never be extinguished. I think she entered the Tao to seek eternal life because she was afraid of death, but I couldn't imagine that she would be so immortal after death. And Fang Shoujian, that bastard, would never have thought that in order to save her soul that had been bombed into ashes, he used Yunzi's broken elemental spirit to stabilize her ghost body, but unexpectedly gave her all the inheritance and scattered memories of Yunzi. And her soul happened to be shattered, so she directly entered the door with the Zhou Tian Xing Do soul splitting and corpse seizing technique. The cultivation techniques in the realm of cultivation are divided into the mysterious and yellow realms of heaven and earth, but above them there are also the mysterious level, no superior level, and the Tao ancestor level that leads the way. There are only 3 cultivation techniques in the entire cultivation world that can be called the ancestor level, all of which are incomplete. During her lifetime, she only obtained one mysterious level cultivation technique, and what Fang Shoujian has cultivated herself is only without a superior. And Yunzi created this technique, which can be considered as the 4th Taoist ancestor level technique outside of the 3. Lin Suying can only say that the heavenly way has good reincarnation, and everything in the underworld is predetermined. The daytime starlight gradually faded away, and Lin Suying recognized the shining stars in the sea, each of which was her shattered soul. Each star corresponds to a Zhou Tiandao, which varies in size and can be injected with new dead corpses. It can be controlled through the star-do connection, equivalent to taking or losing. Back then, Fang Shoujian thought it was the incarnation of Yunzi, but in reality, it was all the genius figures she had gathered. Kill it, take its body, cultivate different techniques, and walk thousands of paths. The fundamental reason why Yunzi attacked various sects was only to search for top-notch martial arts and magical treasures and artifacts for her numerous clones. Lin Suying had to say that Yunzi was truly a genius who could create such amazing martial arts. If she had run away from her back then, it was likely that the cultivation world had already changed hands by now. Moreover, Yunzi seems to come from a world of iron birds flying in the sky, iron dragons wandering in the land, and a very strange and varied world. His knowledge far exceeds this realm, but unfortunately his memory is scattered, and Lin Suying cannot see the whole picture. The predecessors planted trees and the descendants enjoyed the cool breeze. Lin Suying was deeply grateful and felt at ease. Now that the martial arts have been perfected, it's time to kill and take the body. But before that, who will catch her head? With a cry of an eagle, the eyes of an unknown family's golden eagle shone, and a pair of sharp claws aimed straight at Lin Suying's fallen head. End of this chapter. Chapter 3. Get back. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 3. Get back. Flying head technique. At the critical moment, Lin Suying's divine soul used its power to fly and dodge, and then a pair of cold jade hands suddenly extended and pressed her face into the warm and fragrant soft jade. Evil beast, leave quickly. Qini drank the golden eagle and landed steadily on the barrier of clouds and smoke. Upon hearing the sound, Qini's face turned red and she quickly let go. Lin Suying's head fell on the cloud barrier. Lin Suying took a breath. The girl looked at Ping, but in fact, she was secretly surging. Good appearance, temperament, and aptitude. Kill and take the corpse. Thinking together, Lin Suying quickly shook her head, and she was once again influenced by Yunzi's personality. What to kill? This is the Heavenly Dao Sect. Killing someone casually can cause great trouble, but if you can't kill them, you can't let them go, lose money. Lin Suying stared at Qin, the zombie's face expressionless, and her voice hoarse, appearing very gloomy and fierce. Qin blinked in amazement, then flipped over and took out a bag of spirit stones to squat down. I just bought the necessary spiritual stones for cultivation, and there are only over 100 lower-grade spiritual stones left. If it's not enough, I'll go to the Foreign Affairs Hall to take the task and earn spiritual stones to compensate you. I'm sorry, I really didn't know you would explode so high. The last word Qin said in a very low voice, gripping the corner of her clothes and feeling aggrieved and self-blaming. Lin Suying bit into the linkshire bag and felt a burst of joy in her heart. This explosion was not a loss. The White Sun Star just now had some commotion, but the high-level cultivator who came out to investigate saw her from a distance and pretended to leave as if nothing had happened. Take me to the library first. Qin held Lin Suying's head and walked towards the library, her face solemn and cautious, somewhat eye-catching, which was inconsistent with Lin Suying's usual low-key principle. But what could she do now? Suppressing the sadness that came to her mind, Lin Suying simply closed her eyes, out of sight and out of mind. Under the strange gaze of the cultivator in the courtyard, Qin walked straight to the library without straying his gaze. He found a money bag from Lin Suying's back cage, took out a token from the money bag, opened the door, and placed Lin Suying's head on the desk at the door. Lin Suying squinted her eyes and stared at Qin with a thief-like gaze, afraid that she might walk away with even a piece of spiritual stone residue. Lin Suying's daily task is to organize her collection of books and record the list of disciples who borrowed books and recorded martial arts at the door. You go, I have to work now. Lin Suying sent Qin away, afraid that she would come back later and ask for the spirit stone. Qin felt guilty in her heart and insisted on standing behind to guard Lin Suying's inconvenient appearance. Lin Suying was too lazy to pay attention to her, her head standing on the table, her eyes closed, and she could only go back when the courtyard was closed at dusk. Qin stood quietly behind Lin Suying, her gaze always on her head. Since she accidentally learned Lin Suying's identity from her master's mouth, she has been very curious about her. Drunk and unrestrained, the long sky shadow remains unchanged. Even in the past, everyone believed that the pure shadow fairy was exceptionally talented and could surpass the true immortal lord and step into the immortal realm first. But now, she has become like this, which is heartbreaking. As soon as the door of the academy opened, people came in droves to borrow ancient texts and techniques, mostly disciples of the Qin Yi generation. When they came in and saw Qin Yi, they all greeted him respectfully and warmly, only to find that Lin Suying had only one head left on the table, and couldn't help but frown with disdain. Where is the Three Elements Classic? Starting from the west of the second floor, the third one is located at number 23 on the first floor. I can't find the Essentials of the Nine Palace Formation. I have lent it out. There is a copy of the Chiman Formation on the first floor, east of Three Plains, and the eighth floor. The content is similar, but it is more concise and practical. Qin Yi kept observing and found that Lin Suying had an extraordinary memory. No matter who asked, she could tell where the book was without thinking with her eyes closed. Even when someone didn't know which book to burn, she could give extremely suitable recommendations. Have you memorized over 37,000 books from the academy? Qin Yi couldn't help but ask. 37,817 volumes, Lin Suying casually replied. What else can she do besides reading for 100 years? At this moment, another 7 or 8-year-old boy ran over and hurriedly sneaked around. He saw Qin Yi standing there for a moment, then lowered his voice and approached Lin Suying. What about our coursework? Lin Suying yawned expressionlessly and gestured under the wooden box on the table. The little boy picked up the wooden box, and underneath it was a neatly stacked stack of paper. The top one read, On the Conquering of Spiritual Roots and the Application of Spells. The little boy opened it and saw the densely packed small characters inside. He answered in detail and cited classics. He nodded secretly and glanced at Qin Yi with caution, leaving behind a bag of spirit stones holding paper and running away. Lin Suying bit into the spiritual stone bag and threw it into the bamboo basket under the table, looking at Qin Yi with a hint of guilt. This guy won't tell the law enforcement elders to ruin her business, will he? Little did she know that at this moment, Qin Yi's pupils were trembling. She never expected that the pure shadow fairy had already become a ghost cultivator, and even had a heart for preaching, teaching, and dispelling doubts. In this small academy, I secretly guide the disciples of the Heavenly Dao Sect, only receiving meager training without even seeking fame. If it were for her, the trusted person would betray her, and dust would fall from that eye-catching place. Perhaps she would have already become disheartened and lacked this passion. The Suying fairy is truly admirable. Lin Suying felt a little hot on her scalp and twisted her head uncomfortable. If you're okay, help me put these books and jade slips back in their original positions, with numbers and instructions on them. Read them for yourself, she said. Okay. Qin Yi happily agreed and pushed the strange cart next to the desk to tidy up the books and jade slips. At first, Qin Yi couldn't understand the numbering on it, but after studying it for a while, he found that this arrangement was very concise and convenient. To find what type of book to look for, you only need to classify it according to the numbering to immediately know its location. Suddenly, she had another layer of admiration for Lin Suying in her heart. It was just that guarding the library was such an inconspicuous matter that even the seniors could take it seriously and brainstorm a good solution. It is truly heartbreaking that such a smart and serious person ended up today. My master also said that she looks like the Suying fairy back then, and she is far inferior to the Suying fairy. After organizing all the books and jade slips, Qin Yi pushed an empty cart back to the door and saw a blue-clad woman standing respectfully at the table, asking Lin Suying for advice. He could vaguely hear the names of some spiritual medicines and pills. Qin Yi recognized the female cultivator at a glance, named Zhao Zhen, who had achieved 6 levels of qi cultivation and was a disciple of Elder Yu in the alchemy room. Recently, she has also been recommended by her master to learn alchemy with Elder Yu. Elder Yu is strict, and even she has been scolded many times. However, she has a kind and loving attitude towards Zhao Zhen. Because Zhao Zhen was able to excellently complete alchemy tasks every time, and even improve the prescription of the condensing qi powder, increasing the effectiveness of the pill and benefiting many disciples during the qi refining period. Even Qin Yi could tell that Elder Yu had already considered accepting Zhao Zhen as a disciple of the closed door. But what Qin Yi didn't expect was that behind Zhao Zhen, it was Lin Suying who was giving guidance. The senior was indeed well hidden and humble. At this moment, Qin Yi's messenger symbol shook, and she quickly picked it up to check. At the entrance of the library. When you reach the later stage of qi cultivation after completing your cultivation, it will be easier to control the heat, but it is important to improve your cultivation. Lin Suying finished answering Zhao Zhen's question and urged her. Zhao Zhen said solemnly, "My qualifications are not good. I have been stuck on the 6th floor for half a year, and I can't pass through the pass where Peiyuan enters the body. I have taken many pills, but I still cannot succeed. Thank you very much for your guidance. I will officially join Elder Yu's sect after returning from this experience. All of this is thanks to you, senior." Lin Suying's face remained expressionless, but in fact, she rarely gave advice to others. For over 100 years, most cultivators had no interest in interacting with her. But this Zhao Zhen is different. She comes from a poor background, is resolute, brave, and ambitious, and is humble and eager to learn. She also saw her studying hard all day in the library but not knowing the rules and regulations. She casually mentioned that it was only then that fate was formed. Apart from her guidance, Zhao Zhen also has a wise root, which is a material for alchemy. However, in terms of spiritual root qualifications and martial arts techniques, she is too skilled, otherwise she would have entered the inner door early. Now being able to join Yu Qingfeng's family is also a stroke of luck. She remembers 100 years ago, when Yu Qingfeng was still a chubby little guy, crying and crying all day behind her with a big snot, "Master, help me, alchemy is too difficult." Now, they have all become bad old men with a habit of drinking, ranking first in the sect's alchemy, and also serving as the elders of the punishment hall, starting to take their own apprentices. In addition, Zhao Zhen's face turned red, revealing the shyness of her youngest daughter's family. She wanted to say something, but then shyly smiled and shook her head. "I will share with the senior when the situation is settled, and I will bid farewell first." Zhao Zhen left, and Qin Yi walked over, holding the messenger and looking apologetic. "Sorry senior, I'm going to lead a team to experience in the Broken Soul Valley tomorrow. It was supposed to be 7 days later, but today the falling star seems to have fallen in the valley, which has advanced the experience. I need to go to the Foreign Affairs Hall to arrange tomorrow's affairs at this moment, and I can't stay to help senior. However, senior, when I finish handling the matter, I will come to pick you up before dark and personally escort you back. You should leave quickly and don't come back. It's so strange to stare at people's heads." "Okay." Lin Suying's heart was divided, and she agreed to close the door early at dusk and roll back on her own. As Qin Yi left, Lin Suying's eyes gradually darkened. After her completion of the Zhou Tian Xing Do soul splitting and corpse seizing technique, she needs to continue to improve. Star fragments are essential, which makes controlling the corpse as flawless as a clone. Yun Zi has built nests in all corners of the world, but she has gathered many fragments of stars. However, she currently does not have the ability to explore the cave left by Yun Zi. I really want to have the falling stars from the Broken Soul Valley. It's really not possible. After going back, first kill a monster beast to control it, disguise it as a spirit beast, and see if you can infiltrate the experienced team. Lin Suying carefully calculated her plans, constantly refining the entire plan in her heart, striving to leave no loopholes and not set herself on fire to reveal her secrets. At dusk, Lin Suying saw that there was no one in the building and closed the door early. She rolled out of the dog hole under the side door of the library and walked on the wild mountain road with many trees and grass, avoiding the crowded stairs. That place was covered in bumps from the last time she knocked. All the way, Lin Suying was spinning, eating a mouthful of grass crumbs. She was too engrossed in the whole plan, and by the time it suddenly darkened, the huge cake pulled by an unknown spiritual beast was already in front of her. In a moment of desperation, Lin Suying immediately lifted her head with her soul and flew up into the air like a ball, suddenly and heavily hitting the tree. Bang! The nose was in sharp pain, the brain was buzzing, and Lin Suying felt like her soul was about to scatter. The flying head technique is difficult to maintain a straight path and falls on the grass in the mountains, rolling faster and faster, and the line of sight is completely blocked by the dense wild grass, unable to see anything. It's over, now there's more than just one bag, all the old brains have to be knocked out. Dong! With a muffled sound and a soft touch, it didn't hit a stone. Lin Suying tried her best to turn her face around, spat out a mouthful of grass and looked up. The zombie's face was filled with astonishment as her eyes opened wide. The blue-clothed woman's 7 orifices were bleeding, and her eyes met those of Lin Suying's 4 eyes, filled with the despair of the moment before her death. Zhao Zhen. New book online, seeking collection. Comment roast. Looking for another investment, make a steady profit without losing. End of this chapter. Chapter 4. Obtaining Corpse. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 4. Obtaining Corpse. Lin Suying is a ghost cultivator who can clearly feel that Zhao Zhen is lifeless, and even has no remaining soul. But her body is still warm, indicating that she has just died. Without any hesitation, Lin Suying immediately triggered a tiny star in the sea of consciousness. Zhao Zhen's eyes filled with despair gradually lit up with starlight. In the next moment, the pupils, which were magnified to the extreme, suddenly tightened, and she took a deep breath and sat up. Cough cough. Lin Suying gasped and coughed hard, feeling a sharp pain in her heart, as if she was drowning. No amount of hard breathing could alleviate the suffocating sensation. After 100 years, Lin Suying once again felt the beating of her heart and the flow of blood. Her whole body trembled uncontrollably, and she hugged herself tightly, feeling intense pain in her meridians and burning in her internal organs. As soon as she raised her hand, she saw Zhao Zhen holding a medicine bottle in her palm. Burial soul scatter, Inema. Lin Suying couldn't curse at all, no wonder her soul was gone. This poison first destroys her soul and then her body. Her eyes quickly searched around, and she remembered that there was a poisonous fungus nearby that could use poison to attack poison. The poison power of soul destruction had passed, and the subsequent poison should be able to attack. Lin Suying endured the excruciating pain of her internal organs and relied on her strong will to survive as she crawled and searched through the grass. Fortunately, she was very familiar with the area and soon found the poisonous fungus under an ancient tree. Lin Suying stuffed the poisonous bacteria into her mouth with mud and soil, swallowing them hard. She lay on her back in the grass, her chest heaving violently, feeling that her body was dying again, and began to exert a repulsive force on her soul fragments. Lin Suying curled up in a ball, gritted her teeth and persevered, fighting to the death. The old lady occupied the nest with her abilities. No one wants me to drive out, even the king of hell cannot. As the sun sets and the moon rises, Lin Suying's face turns pale, her whole body is soaked in sweat, and the grass and trees around her wither, making it difficult for insects and ants to survive. Most of the toxins are excreted, but there is still a portion remaining in the body that requires real detoxification pills to be completely eliminated. However, this is not a problem for Lin Suying, who already has a body and can be like a normal cultivator. The most important thing now is to figure out what exactly happened to Zhao Zhen. Lin Suying got up and trembled as she returned to the place where Zhao Zhen's body was found. In addition to the poison bottle she held in her hand, there was also a handkerchief with the words, blood, written on it on a nearby tree. My heart has died, I will not see you in the next life. A suicide note. Suicide for love. Lin Suying lowered her head and looked at her own body's head, her eyes dimming at the same time. This is impossible. Based on the time she has been in contact with Zhao Zhen, it seems that Zhao Zhen is not someone who can be trapped by love, let alone that she is about to become Yu Qingfeng's closed-door disciple with a bright future. How could she commit suicide now? However, Lin Suying remembered that Zhao Zhen had not finished speaking to her before, and her face looked shy, as if it was indeed related to love. The night was heavy, the cold wind suddenly rose, and the sound of sobbing seemed like a vengeful soul crying blood. Lin Suying took a deep breath and said, "Don't worry, I will find out the truth. If someone kills you, they will definitely use your hands to seek revenge." Lin Suying carefully examined the surrounding traces again and found nothing, as it was a suicide. The storage bag and other things on Zhao Zhen's body were all there. The dead are resurrected, as long as she walks out, the killer will definitely not be able to sit still. Lin Suying decided to go back to Zhao Zhen's residence before making any plans. She picked up her own body and head, but as soon as she lifted her foot, she paused. She's not swallowing her soul and losing it. There's no memory of Zhao Zhen in her mind, so where exactly does she live? Grab the head in your hand, it's better to sneak back to the library to get your belongings first, then leave a leave note and go back to Yunyan Valley. Walking in the forest, Lin Suying's footsteps became faster and faster. Compared to the zombie body that had previously struggled to bend its knees, this body was as light and agile as a gust of wind. Fingers flickered, triggering a gentle breeze to lift her body and jump up. Lin Suying stepped on a tree with the help of force, riding against the wind. It's been 100 years, and I've almost forgotten all these low-level techniques. Everything goes from being unfamiliar to being proficient, trapped in this world for 100 years. Every day, like a snail dragging its body, it struggles to move, unable to even use a lightness technique. At this moment, as all the scenery rapidly receded on both sides of the field of vision, Lin Suying wandered freely through the forest, finally feeling a hint of freedom and pleasure, as if reborn. If it weren't for being really foolish, she would have been unable to resist howling. Above the treetops, Lin Suying stood tall with a jade figure, her long hair brushed by the gentle breeze, and the moonlight scattered all over her body. Finally, she could smile with a tug of her mouth. After injecting Lin Suying's soul into Zhao Zhen's simple and unadorned body, there was a surge of vitality on her body. The once reserved and unrestrained spirit that belonged to Zhao Zhen no longer exists, leaving only Lin Suying's carefree and unrestrained spirit. Practicing the 6 layers of qi is too difficult, and even this bottleneck cannot be broken through. It's just using the true element to expand the meridians and orifices around the body, opening up the path of quenching the body. Is the goldenwood fire 3 spiritual roots still good? Huang Pin's greenwood technique. No wonder the improvement is so slow. I remember that there is a place level, 5 elements return to true technique with impressive power that can be repaired. Let's leave it for now. Lin Suying closed her eyes and felt the flow of spiritual energy inside her body. Zhao Zhen couldn't touch the various acupoints and orifices on her body, but Lin Suying was clear, and at this moment, the movement of the true elements rushed towards her quickly, accurately, and steadily. The technique of Yunzi is completely focused on controlling the corpse, making her a completely different person. As long as her soul strength is strong enough, she can even perfectly inherit everything that the corpse originally had. If you don't explore your body, you won't find any abnormalities, but your range of movement is limited by your body, and you will be more flexible at night than during the day. But if a star fragment is inserted into the corpse, it can leverage the power of the Zhou Tian star dough. There are no taboos, which is equivalent to the external incarnation of the void refining power being no different from the body, and no one can detect any flaws. And even if this clone is killed again, the star fragment can still protect her soul fragment from being destroyed, allowing her to once again take refuge. This is simply an immortal magic. Unless the corpse is blasted into powder, even if there is only one arm left, it can fly up and give you another slap. I'll ask if you're afraid or not. This is also why the entire cultivation world, together, found it difficult to kill Yunzi. In the end, Feng Shoujen set up an array to trap the enemy and fought against Yunzi alone, not sending her any body in order to have a chance to seriously injure her. Perhaps it was precisely because of this that Feng Shoujen's dog jumped over the wall in a hurry, willing to exchange his beloved disciple for Yunzi's life. She understood the reason again, but still didn't. Pick it up. Accept. After a moment, a gust of air rushed through Lin Suying's body. Zhao Zhen easily broke through the bottleneck she had endured for half a year and entered the 7th level of Qi cultivation to become a late-stage cultivator. After becoming familiar with the new cultivation method, it will take 3 months to build a foundation. After building the foundation, it won't be so fragile anymore. You can try to find the caves where Yunzi stayed and collect heavenly and earthly treasures to refine the corpse. However, before that, you still need to save up the road expenses. Thinking of money, Lin Suying quickly flipped through Zhao Zhen's storage bag, and after reading it, her face turned green. Before, I couldn't find anyone poorer than me, but now I realize that Zhao Zhen is even poorer than me. I always feel like it's because I became Zhao Zhen. With a sigh, Lin Suying jumped off the treetop holding her head and sneaked into the library to retrieve her belongings. With a storage bag, it was convenient and she was as light as a swallow. Closed for a month. If you have any objections, please contact the sect leader. If you want to complain about her, just go ahead and see if the sect leader is happy with her opinion. If you see her, you still have to call her senior sister. There's no way, who makes her have a high ranking. Even if she becomes like this ghost, you still have to admit it. That's also why the higher levels of the Heavenly Dao Sect avoid her. As long as she doesn't set fire to the mountains and slaughter her disciples, they are too lazy to take care of her. Leave a leave note and Lin Suying easily returns to her residence. Under Tiandao Peak, in the Valley of Clouds and Smoke. This is the back mountain of the Heavenly Dao Sect. Feng Shoujen is secluded at the top of the mountain. She has been living at the foot of the mountain, waiting to get up close. With her own eyes, she is the first to watch Feng Shoujen's military retreat. If she has the opportunity to repair her sword, she will stab him twice more. In order to protect her, Feng Shoujen left a restriction on her forehead, so her body exploded and her head was still intact, allowing the divine soul to attach to her. This also made her not like a real dead corpse, and she could have weak pain and 5 senses. Anyone who intends to kill her will trigger the ban and be seriously injured. Of course, the little bunny threw a flying knife and kicked her head like a ball before triggering the ban. But this prohibition is not only for protection, but also for imprisonment, making her unable to leave the realm of the Heavenly Dao Sect and die as soon as she goes out. Look, killing her is a serious injury. Escaping her is a death sentence. How doting the disciple's dog is. There are only 2 ways to break the ban. Either Feng Shoujen dies, or she achieves Feng Shoujen's cultivation level and forcibly demolitions herself. During the Mahayana period, she still wants to find a way to kill that bastard and hurry up. Lin Suying used Zhao Zhen's body to step into the cloud and smoke valley, with a gentle breeze and rustling leaves. Entering the valley, the distant mountain waterfall flows straight down, mist fills the air. At the end of the stream, an old and dilapidated palace is visible, half of which is embedded in the mountain. The rockery inside collapses, and the garden is desolate, piled with several old coffins. In the palace, the vast koi pond now only has foul-smelling blood, soaking in the bones of the remaining limbs and beasts, with a pale and gloomy aura. From the scale of this palace, one can also think of its former grandeur, but without the maintenance of miscellaneous workers, 100 years of time have been wasted here. I used to say that living in a dog house was a show-off, but now it's a real dog house. Lin Suying sighed. Back in the day, even a cattail had to be made of ice cicada silk from 100 barbarian lands, otherwise she wouldn't be able to take care of her delicate buttocks as a fairy. But now, even if she's poor, not to mention a cattail, she can sit down with glass shards. If it weren't for knocking on Qin Yi today, she would have planned to peel off the wall and replace it with a spirit stone when she came back. At least when it was built, Fang Shoujin, that bastard, used endless sea-diving dragon shark beads to grind into a painted wall. Looking back now, she used to be arrogant and pretentious, which was quite annoying. No wonder so many people are causing trouble for her, both openly and secretly, but unfortunately none of them can fight. Tomorrow at Chinchur Xuanming Square, it is reported that you have failed your training twice in a row. If you fail again in this soul-breaking valley training, even Elder you will not be immune to your punishment. Take good care of yourself. In the message, there was a fierce voice from the female steward of the Foreign Affairs Hall, and Lin Suying's eyes lit up. It turned out that Zhao Zhen was participating in the training of tomorrow's soul-broken valley, and there was really nowhere to find her. If she can successfully leave the Heavenly Dao Sect tomorrow, besides taking the star fragments, she will definitely wash the soul-broken valley with blood, and she cannot let go of anything valuable. The night was still long, and Lin Suying placed her own body and head in the coffin of the dormitory. She found the remaining spiritual medicine and prepared a pair of detoxifying powder to take. Then she began to make various attempts to verify and deepen her control over Zhao Zhen's body. At this moment, although she didn't have any star fragments, if she only controlled the body of Zhao Zhen, it wouldn't be too far to go to the soul-breaking valley. During the day, she may have a slower reaction, but compared to her original zombie body, the difference between a turtle and a rabbit is enough. After multiple attempts, Lin Suying found that when she was fully focused on Zhao Zhen, her own reaction and thinking abilities would be affected, and the more she manipulated in the future, the more so. In Yun Ziyi's words, it's like playing a game. It's best to keep the main body in standby mode. If it's not a team battle, it's best not to control too many corpses at once, and strive for excellence rather than quantity. After having a clear mind, Lin Suying arrived at the warehouse. As soon as the door opened, a spiritual light shone brightly in her eyes. Inside, more than 10 rows of shelves are filled with various materials that have been preliminarily polished and made, including spiritual medicines, talismans, formation flags, and magical tools. Although it's not much, it's also my 100-year accumulation. I can only complete the final refining by increasing my cultivation level. Sleepless tonight, it's beautiful to come out of the mountain tomorrow and call you all. End of this chapter. Chapter 5. Final departure from the sect. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 5. Final departure from the sect. Dang, the bell rings and the sound shakes, and the morning light is faint. Lin Suying still had the leaves and dead branches from yesterday stuck on her head, unable to tidy them up. She carried a yellow paper umbrella on her back, like a bird released from its cage, and the wind rushed towards the mountain gate of Tiandao Sect. It's been 100 years, finally I can go out. The time is approaching, we need to take a shortcut. Ha! Ha! Passing through the thousand pine forests, Lin Suying saw the tall and slender woodcutter Xiu wielding an axe to practice chopping and picking thorns with her swordsmanship. 2 years ago, she took her head off the tree and sent it to the mouth of Yunyan Valley. In the past 2 years, she has been here every day chopping firewood and practicing sword techniques, but she doesn't have any sword techniques. After practicing for 2 years, she still feels lonely. Today, Lin Suying was in a good mood. Thinking of the unrequited kindness before, she quietly passed by and left behind a jade slip. Tiandao Zongshan Gate Square is crowded with people. Both inner and outer disciples are required to complete 3 training tasks per year, in batches and with 300 people each time. As long as they pass once, they can continue to stay within the Heavenly Dao Sect, otherwise they will be expelled. Experience has always been based on 2 foundations and 8 cultivation chi. At this time, each team has been arranged according to the allocation of the Foreign Affairs Hall, and they are gradually driving talismans and magical tools to the designated training location, like geese forming a line in the sky. As the number of people on the square decreased, only a small team of 9 led by Qin Yi and Song Tianqi remained. Qin Yi was carrying 2 long swords, one wide and one narrow, with a neat bun and a neat white robe. He stood beside him without looking askance, aloof, making people dare not look close. Song Tianqi had an extraordinary appearance, with a smile on his face and eyes. He was very kind. When he saw a disciple practicing qi next to him being intimidated by Qin Yi, he comforted him with a smile and said, "You don't have to be afraid. Qin Shishu has a cold face and a warm heart, so it's not difficult to get along with." Except for cultivators with special status within the sect, the title of seniority is based on their cultivation level, and it is common to refer to building a foundation as a master by practicing qi. Seeing that the last person had not yet arrived, Qin Yi's eyebrows furrowed slightly and he was already slightly angry. At this moment, the woman in blue was covered in leaves and grass shavings, her clothes were tattered and covered in mud, and she walked in the clear breeze as it descended from the sky. "Sorry, I fell on the road." Lin Suying gasped for breath. Everyone frowned and shook their heads when they saw her messy appearance, while Lin Suying secretly observed everyone's expressions. In the distance, there was a man and a goddess with a somewhat unnatural expression, who gathered together to watch her whispering and teasing. "Zhao Zhen. Come over here." Gue Yuehong, the steward of the Foreign Affairs Hall, who was waiting on the side, shouted angrily with her eyebrows raised and her hips crossed. Lin Suying touched her nose and walked over honestly. Gue Yuehong glanced at Qin Yi and the others, lowering her voice and gritting her teeth. "Not to mention that I don't take care of you this time, I have arranged for you to be under the chief disciple of the inner sect, Qin Yi. There is also a kind-hearted Song Tianqi following, and 2 of the other disciples are from your hometown. The rest are top-notch in the later stage of external qi cultivation. Even if you go to the soul-breaking valley, you can still get through by following the main army. If you still fail, go explain to Elder Yu yourself. The sect rules cannot tolerate you." Lin Suying's mind was buzzing because she was not quite sure what Zhao Zhen looked like outside, so she could only speak less and nod more. Gue Yuehong only then realized that Zhao Zhen had entered the later stage of qi cultivation, and her anger had slightly decreased. Finally, she knew how to work hard to cultivate. She said Lin Suying returned to the team, and Gue Yuehong scanned the 10 people and said in a loud voice, "Let me reiterate that this time you are going to the most dangerous and deadliest soul-breaking valley among the 9 major training places. In addition to poisonous miasma and complex terrain, there are countless poisonous insects and beasts inside, and there are countless natural maze swamp traps. When we arrive there, we must obey the arrangements of our stationed disciples and never act alone. In case of trouble, we must prioritize protecting our lives. We must never engage in violence or intentionally frame our sect. Once discovered, we must immediately follow the sect's rules. Do you understand?" "Yes." Everyone joined in unison, saying that as soon as they entered, their souls would often be broken. The Ghost Valley is notorious for its ferocity and is the place where everyone least wants to go for training. "Let's go." With a command from Gue Yuehong, all the disciples took out their flying talismans. At this moment, Qin Yi flipped over and took out a 2-story boat the size of a palm. "There are many people, so let's take my broken cloud boat and leave," he said as soon as the words fell. The building boat flew up against the wind and quickly transformed into a dazzling and majestic ship hovering in mid-air, earning praise and envy from all the disciples present. "Are you the chief disciple of the inner sect?" "We are still using the lowest level talismans, but they have already used magical tools. Not only that, but this was specially made by Chongqing Jinjuan for Qin Yi, containing 30.6 prohibitions of earthly evils. It is a legitimate treasure of earthly evils. Having a good master is really enviable, but unfortunately we don't have the qualifications and fate." Lin Suying also looked up at Peyunzhou with sparkling eyes, thinking to herself that this guy is so wealthy. It was really a loss to ask her for over 100 inferior spirit stones yesterday. The magical tools used by practitioners in this world, from low to high, are talismans, magical tools, earthly evil magical tools, heavenly gang magical tools, acquired spiritual tools, innate spiritual tools, immortal tools, and then divine tools. Generally, during the chi refining period, cultivators can only use talismans, and there are no prohibitions inside that cannot be used on the table. Although there are prohibitions on the upper-level talismans, they are not complete, and at most, they are stronger and more useful than talismans. Only when one reaches the stage of the Earth Demon Magic Treasure can they be called true cultivation treasures. From the first level to the 8th level, every 9 layers of Earth Demon Prohibition increase their power, and reaching 70.2 layers of full Earth Demon Prohibition can form a layer of Heavenly Gang Prohibition, leaping to a higher level of Heavenly Gang Magic Treasure. It is extremely difficult to refine the Heavenly Gang Magic Treasure. Even the Xuanming True Lord and even the Transforming God may not be able to obtain one. It is rare for cultivators during the foundation period to have a earthly evil magic treasure. At this moment, Qin Yi's first move was a 4-tier Earth Demon magic weapon that was forbidden by 30.6 Earth Demons, almost carving the word, fat sheep, on his forehead. Others were still envious, but Lin Suying was the first to jump onto the broken cloud boat and tidy up her appearance in the cabin. Within the territory of Tiandao, the Heavenly Dao Sect is the leader. Along the way to the Broken Soul Valley, there are always station points of the Heavenly Dao Sect. Unless there are demonic cultivators who find their lives long, generally no one dares to rob the disciples of the Heavenly Dao Sect. Qin Yi frowned slightly and scanned Lin Suying, unable to understand how this late and messy person, who couldn't even pass his training, was valued by Senior Suying. Qin Yi suppressed his doubts and nodded at Song Tianqi. The second one jumped onto the broken cloud boat, while the others continued to climb up one by one. Everything is ready, and the broken cloud boat transforms into a stream of light, soaring straight into the clouds and advancing rapidly towards the direction of the soul-broken valley. At a height of thousands of miles, the wind howled, and the 2 red lanterns at the bow of the ship shimmered with a ray light, making the entire broken cloud boat as stable as the ground without any noise or vibration. The experienced disciples formed their own groups and sat cross-legged on the deck chatting. Even if there was a broken cloud boat, it would take a day's journey to reach the soul-broken valley. Qin Yi sat alone on the terrace on the 2nd floor of the building ship, high and cold, but difficult to get close to. Song Tianqi was easy-going, chatting and laughing with the external Qi training disciples. In the quiet cabin of the cabin, Lin Suying found a simple narrow-sleeved black dress in Zhao Zhen's storage bag, with her hair still tied up in a crooked bun and fixed with a wooden hairpin. In the past, like Qin Yi, she only liked light-colored clothes that were ethereal, and no matter what, she always had to hold on to the fairy's charm steadily. But now she still likes dark clothes, the simpler and more low-key the better. After all, she is old and has been wasted by years, leaving only her down-to earth spirit. After putting on her clothes and drying her face, Lin Suying checked a total of 5 storage bags on her lower body, as well as the talismans, hidden weapons, poisonous powder, pills, and magical tools that she had worked hard overnight. Almost all her belongings were on her body. Especially the umbrella in her hand, which seemed to be an ordinary defense tool, the Huangluo umbrella, actually had another world. It took her 100 years to accumulate and took most of the night to assemble, making it the most valuable item in her warehouse. When she arrives at the soul-breaking valley, she can instantly become a good weapon for both attack and defense. If given more time, it won't be a problem to refine the Earth Demon treasure and even the Heavenly Gang treasure. This time I'm going to the soul-breaking valley to restock, there's still a shortage of storage bags. The purpose of this training is twofold. Firstly, it is to search for star fragments, and it is best to obtain the entire star core. The second is to search for heavenly and earthly treasures suitable for refining corpses for the body. There are quite a few mean and evil things in the soul-breaking valley, so it is important to carefully select them. However, the most suitable one among them is the 9 transformations Heavenly Heart Lotus, which is born in the decaying land of corpse mud but does not contain any evil energy. It can refine the spiritual body and help her body overcome the current predicament of being unable to practice. Unfortunately, this thing has not appeared in the world for decades, only rumored to have appeared in the soul-breaking valley, so it may not be possible to find it this time. The last thing is naturally to make money by purchasing goods. If you cannot find suitable natural materials and treasures for refining corpses, you can only rely on buying them, and then you will have to spend a large amount of spiritual stones. With a restrained mind, Lin Suying checked everything and took out a hot meat bun from her waist storage bag, biting it as she walked out of the cabin. As soon as she came out, the noisy voice stopped and for some reason attracted all the attention. Even Qin Yi, who was meditating on the second-floor terrace, opened her eyes and looked at her. In the eyes of everyone, Zhaozhen at this moment had a natural and unrestrained temperament, with her cheeks bulging and her meat buns biting. In the past, Zhaozhen used to have thick bangs covering her eyes, giving off a gloomy and reserved feeling. Now, all her hair was tied up in front of her forehead, and her whole face suddenly became bright. Although she was not as outstanding as Qin Yi's fairy appearance, she could still be eye-catching among other female cultivators. Zhaozhen seems a bit different, someone whispered. It's a bit, but what's the use? It's not like the bottom 2 girls in our group, who are dragging their feet like the woodcutter Mo Li. Fortunately, we only brought her this time. If we bring Mo Li again, we will definitely fail our training mission. Don't mention it, they have Elder Yu support. Qin and Song Shishu will definitely help this time. Let's take care of ourselves first and think about how to save our lives in the soul-breaking valley. Have you brought enough poison-avoiding pills and miasma-clearing talismans? I have made up my mind to follow Qin Shishu closely. Lin Suying found a comfortable corner to sit down, and no one came to chat. After listening to everyone's discussion, she roughly understood that Zhaozhen had a dull personality and was a bit arrogant, so she didn't interact with people much. Everyone only knew that her cultivation was not high and she was proficient in alchemy, and she didn't know much about anything else. This actually facilitates Lin Suying, not afraid of being seen through. After calming down, Lin Suying took out food, finished eating buns and meat patties, finished eating meat patties and sugar cakes, trembling with her fingers and mouth, and even brought out a pot of preserved meat rice. The aroma of the meal filled the air, and there was a sound of swallowing and drooling around. Looking at Lin Suying's delicious food, everyone couldn't help but press their stomachs, feeling a bit unbearable. In the later stage of qi cultivation, cultivators initially try to open valleys, intentionally reducing their appetite by having 1 meal a day and suppressing their appetite through willpower. Qin Yi also secretly endured, afraid that sinking into her appetite would affect her mood. However, she suddenly remembered yesterday when her master brought the cow tail soup, saying that Senior Suying had never opened a valley before and had easily overcome the calamity of building a foundation, so she didn't have to bear any burden. No, her intelligence and aptitude are not as good as Senior Suying, so she can't use this as an excuse for herself. Qin Yi immediately stood up and returned to the quiet room to practice, out of sight and out of mind. Starving to death like a ghost, as if I haven't eaten it in 100 years. Lin Suying was amused when she heard the roast nearby. She had not eaten for 100 years, so she had to relive the joy of delicious food when she finally got normal. The appetite and appetite are the fundamental desires of human beings. Why deliberately suppress them? You don't need to abuse yourself to cultivate your heart. Lin Suying has already explored the main road, and at this moment, she is naturally more open-minded than others, eating without any burden. Picking up the debris on her body and the ground and stuffing it into her mouth without any waste, Lin Suying took a long sigh of relief, rubbed her stomach with satisfaction, and finally took out a gourd of wine. She had been reciting this for 100 years, but when the wine reached her mouth, she only smelled it. Drinking caused trouble, and when the purchase of goods from the Soul Saber Valley was over, she would drink to celebrate the victory. Turning her head to look at the misty clouds in the sky, Lin Suying took a deep breath of this long-lost breath of freedom. She felt a strong impulse in her heart, wishing she could jump down and let birds fly from above. But she knew it was not the time yet, and she still needed to endure and plan. Only by leaving the Heavenly Dao Sect can she truly be free. At that time, she will definitely search for a small world outside the wilderness, and from then on, she will no longer participate in any disputes in seclusion. Taking back her mental energy, Lin Suying continued to focus on the current situation. Her spiritual consciousness remained fixed on the two cultivators, a man and a woman, who had previously practiced 7 levels of qi and had a cat trick. The two of them stood alone in the other corner, behaving intimately. The man was dark and robust, while the woman was delicate and beautiful, always secretly looking at her with a hint of guilt in her eyes. "Why didn't I see you in front of the transmission hall last night to listen?" A warm voice came, and Lin Suying turned her head to see Song Tianqi smiling gently. She lifted her familiar hem and sat shoulder to shoulder with her, lifting her hand to take half a withered leaf from her hair. Lin Suying frowned slightly and remained calm. Song Tianqi followed Lin Suying's gaze just now and said, "Xiao Chang and Yao Jing have a similar relationship. You also said you wanted to make it happen before. Is it a regret now? What is the situation?" The couple who heard this should be Zhao Zhen from the same hometown, so Zhao Zhen was with the man before, but later the man and the woman got together and dumped Zhao Zhen. But Lin Suying looked at Song Tianqi, "Big brother, what's wrong with you?" It is obvious that this elder brother's relationship with Zhao Zhen is extraordinary, whether in his sitting position, behavior, eyes, and tone. In an instant, Lin Suying came up with a brilliant and endlessly entangled dog blood drama. Just as she was thinking about how to use Glitch AS, Lin Suying's forehead veins suddenly jumped. Someone is following them from behind. Is it really going to rob? Ah bah. She's such a crow mouth. No, 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 this must be Zhao Zhen's problem. End of this chapter. Chapter 6. Scum Woman. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 6. Scum Woman. The people around him, including Song Tianqi, were completely unaware at this moment, but those few people did not quickly attack, but kept a distance and followed. This range was just the edge of the range that the foundation building cultivator could explore. Lin Suying continued to remain silent, using the advanced secret technique, peeping into the sky and measuring the earth, to calculate and examine. In a faint moment, several images flashed through her mind. The 3 cultivators wrapped in black robes scattered around, carefully weaving through the clouds. Mo Xiu. Lin Suying thrust her fingers, causing a sharp pain in her brain. Her body's cultivation was too low to master the secret technique, and the screen was blurry, making it impossible to judge their appearance and cultivation. Over the years, although she has been trapped in the Heavenly Dao Sect, she also knows that the outside world has always been peaceful. How could so many demon cultivators suddenly appear? Why did you suddenly turn so pale, but your true qi has gone astray? Song Tianqi looked concerned and shook his sleeve to grab Lin Suying's wrist. Pop. Lin Suying slapped Song Tianqi's hand away and stood up from the ground. She was about to be investigated when her body was exposed. Song Tianqi frowned and scrutinized with his gaze. Lin Suying's eyes twitched slightly as she pressed her stomach. Gui Shui is here. Will the fairy not come to Gui Shui? Wrong. Unless one truly digests into the valley, drinks wind and qi, or only eats spiritual objects, as long as the 5 grains enter the cycle of the body, the Gui water will continue on and on. After Lin Suying finished speaking, she stamped her foot and pretended to be embarrassed and ran away with her head buried. Her divine sense always paid attention to the people following behind her. Song Tianqi raised his hand and blinked in amazement, before finally putting down his arm in thought. Entering the cabin, Lin Suying headed straight to the quiet room where Qin Yi was located. As soon as she reached the door, she lifted her hand and the door of the quiet room opened on its own. Qin Yi sat cross-legged in the position directly facing the door, looking at her indifferently. "I thought you didn't care about the outside world and had a good sense of alertness when practicing," Lin Suying murmured before entering the room. "I feel like someone is following behind me. You'd better take a look. Also, borrow a quiet room." If Lin Suying had to believe in one of the people on this ship, she would only choose Qin Yi. After all, she is the disciple of Lu Chongqing and is definitely not far behind. After speaking, Lin Suying turned to the room diagonally opposite. Qin Yixio furrowed her eyebrows and carefully sensed the surroundings of the broken cloud boat. She did not find any abnormalities, but although Zhao Zhen had a skeptical tone just now, her eyes were clearly determined. Thinking about this, Qin Yi flipped his hand and took out an ancient mirror. Several magic spells were infused into it, and in an instant, the mirror's ripples flickered through each frame. Seeing the three black-clad cultivators hidden in the clouds, Qin Yi's pupils trembled slightly. If someone really followed, did Zhao Zhen's divine sense explore a wider range than hers? She only practiced Qi 7 layers. Did Senior Suying pass on any secret techniques again? After Qin Yi's own brainstorming, he secretly made up his mind to seek advice from Senior Suying when he returned. Afterwards, she immediately notified the senior guards of the nearby Tiandao sect using the method of flying swords to transmit messages, and at the same time, she took out the broken cloud boat to manipulate the jade talisman and enter the magic code. Master once said that recently, due to the capture of the former poison dragon venerable of the demon lord by the Heavenly Dao Sect, some demon cultivators have appeared in the Tianke area with the intention of rescuing and inquiring. Is it because of this that we have been caught up by the demon cultivator? Qin Yi pondered for a moment and secretly recorded the appearance of those few people, raising his vigilance in his heart. In the quiet room, as soon as Lin Suying sat down, she was hit hard by a tremendous force and almost collapsed on the floor. Breaking through the clouds, the boat shrank to an inch, taking a breath for 1,000 miles, and instantly shook off the demon cultivator following behind. It's a good escape weapon. Lin Suying sat back in her seat, took out a stack of talismans from her storage bag, flipped her fingers, and a few times, she folded out a yellow talisman paper crane. With blood on her eyes, the paper crane immediately flew up, circling around her with great agility. "Help me keep an eye on the outside, especially Xiao Chang, Yao Jing, and that Song Tianqi." The paper crane flickered its wings and gradually disappeared, unnoticed by anyone. It's still convenient for cultivation. In the past, if I wanted to sneak a peek, I had to take off my eyeballs and throw them over. Lin Suying sensed the paper crane while taking out scissors, needles, and blood-stained cloth to cut a strand of hair, slowly cutting and sewing. The journey was long, and after a small interlude, the broken cloud boat sailed smoothly without any waves. At dusk, it arrived at the outer market of the Broken Soul Valley, 2 hours faster than expected. The mountains and forests are shrouded in mist, stretching for thousands of miles. The soul-cutting valley is pitch black, and green poisonous miasma spreads out from the deep valley. It is blocked by the large formation on the edge of the square city, like waves rushing forward, constantly beating the boundaries of the formation. The Yin wind pierced through the bones and the forest was cold. Just standing outside the market and looking at the entrance of the soul-broken valley made people shudder. Hearing the wind and ghost howls in the valley, the disciples felt fearful as soon as they got off the boat. Zhenshan Fang is not large, but was built by the Tiandao sect in conjunction with nearby sects, gathering numerous cultivators who went to the Soul Saber Valley to test and make a living. Among them, the buildings were disorderly and piled up, the roads were narrow and muddy, and everywhere was dirty and messy. The scattered cultivators in tattered clothes crowded on both sides of the road to set up stalls. As soon as they saw these brightly dressed disciples of the Heavenly Dao Sect, they immediately opened their voices and started selling. Come on, top quality Pigu Wan, with all kinds of flavors available. Buying 3 Yufeng talismans and getting 1 free are essential for escaping on the road. The ultimate magical tool, the Black Rock Shield, can't bear to part ways, just sell it for money. All sentient beings are in various states. Lin Suying walked behind everyone. In the past, her eyes were higher than her heart, and she had never paid attention to these lower-level cultivators. At this moment, she found herself in a position similar to theirs, only to realize that she was not much stronger than them. For an hour, go buy everything you need, and then gather at the valley mouth. Song Tianqi ordered, and everyone dispersed into the crowd in groups of 3 or 2. Song Tianqi turned to look for Lin Suying, only to find that she was nowhere to be found. After Lin Suying left the team, she took out the momentum of the old lady bargaining in the vegetable market and swept away the storage bags bought and sold at the surrounding stalls. She didn't even look at anything else, just the storage bags. She left 100 lower-grade spirit stones at home, and the remaining 40 or so spirit stones were all carried on her body. She also changed into 5 storage bags. Although this item is a must-have for human hands, it is not sold cheap. The most ordinary standard is only 3 zhang square, and a larger monster corpse is enough. At this moment, there were a total of 10 storage bags on her body, and Lin Suying still felt that they were not enough. There were many good things in the soul-breaking valley. Although she only had 30 days of experience, as long as she was quick, none of the 10 storage bags would be enough. There was nothing to buy, so Lin Suying went to various stores to inquire about the prices of various heavenly and earthly treasures in the Broken Soul Valley. She compared the prices with those in the local market and calculated how to resell them to maximize profits. When asked about the price, Lin Suying immediately saw Xiao Chang and Yao Jing across the street. At this moment, Xiao Chang was holding a magic tool hairpin and gesturing towards Yao Jing's head. Yao Jing's cheeks were flushed and she smiled shyly. Suddenly looking up to see Lin Suying, Yao Jing quickly pushed away Xiao Chang's hand, a smile restrained and a guilty expression on her face. When Xiao Chang saw Lin Suying, his eyes showed a hint of anger and he whispered coldly, "I'm afraid she might do something wrong, and you don't owe her." "But you were already engaged before, Yao Jing whispered. "I wasn't the one who broke the engagement first." She climbed up to Takashi and was ungrateful. "Do you want me to continue clinging to her? Let's go." Xiao Chang pulled Yao Jing and turned around before leaving, looking disdainful towards Lin Suying. Lin Suying propped her cheeks. "What do you mean? Zhao Zhen is the scumbag. No one is perfect. Zhao Zhen is humble, polite, and hardworking in front of her, but is this not ambition? She comes from a mountain village and has average qualifications. Joining Yu Qingfeng's family is indeed a remarkable achievement. If she wants to choose a Taoist couple in the future, there will naturally be many young talents to choose from. At this time, breaking off the engagement with Xiao Chang can also be understood. This approach is really useless. Looking at Xiao Chang's honest face and the presence of a newcomer, he shouldn't have killed Zhao Zhen for this. Right. Wait, divorce. Still surnamed Xiao. Xiao, how could this make her feel like Xiao Chang is bound to soar to fame, must be eliminated first to prevent future troubles. This is also the part of Yun Zi's personality that causes trouble. Previously, she met a worker surnamed Han in the sect, who was ordinary and had no unique 5 spirit roots. He just liked to plant medicine, and the idea of killing him quickly came to her mind. The demon lord of Tang Tang is full of whimsical thoughts. He is always ready to take action first, so it's no wonder he has taken the path of evil with such a strong killing intent. I've been searching for you for a while. Why are you here? As soon as he turned his head, it was Song Tianqi, a young and talented person who had beaten Xiao Chang for thousands of miles just because of his appearance, not to mention that he was still an inner disciple in the early days of foundation construction. Song Tianqi smiled warmly and handed a storage bag to Lin Suying. I have prepared a copy of the pill and talisman for you. I am the leader of the team. After entering the valley, it is not advisable to favor one over the other. You are not good at martial arts and techniques. If there is any danger that you cannot cope with, just come to my side and I will protect you. Lin Suying's eyes narrowed slightly. She was really confused about the situation now. Zhao Zhen had dumped her ex, and Song Tianqi looked perfect as the current one. So, who exactly was the sentence on the suicide note that said, "My heart is dead, I won't see you in the next life"? If the killer stays, is it to point at Xiao Chang or Song Tianqi? Elder, you should have mentioned to you that there has been a resurgence of the demonic realm recently, and I don't know who it is. He has raised the banner of avenging the demon lord and threatened to use disciples of the Heavenly Dao Sect to sacrifice the flag and annihilate the entire Heavenly Dao Sect. Therefore, he needs to be extra careful recently. Lin Suying looked up and said, "Where did the news come from?" Song Tianqi showed a puzzled expression and said, "Don't you know that, Elder? You got it from the remnants of the demon path." Lin Suying avoided her gaze and said, "It seems like I forgot, so I don't need the pill talisman anymore. I have it, thank you." Lin Suying refused Song Tianqi's kindness and turned around to leave. After taking 2 steps, she turned back and took the storage bag from Song Tianqi's hand, taking out the pills and talismans inside and pressing them into Song Tianqi's hand. "I really like this storage bag, lend it to me." 11 storage bags, you can earn more. Song Tianqi. Song Tianqi looked at Lin Suying's back, his eyes gradually deepening. A faint black aura emerged from the pill bottle in his hand, sinking into the ground and wandering along the way. In the dark alley of paint. Hissing, the highly poisonous green snake swallowed black gas in one gulp and wrapped it around the arm of the black-robed cultivator. He suppressed his voice and ordered the 2 people in front of him. After entering the valley, I immediately separated them and then kept an eye on Zhao Zhen. Yes. End of this chapter. Chapter 7. I'm going. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 7. I'm going. Broken Soul Valley Mouth. Once the Seeking Help Jade Talisman is crushed, this true person will personally enter the soul-breaking valley to rescue you and others. However, in this way, it will be considered as giving up the experience and recording a failure. Do you understand? The Jiadan period cultivator Taiyu, who was guarding this place, shook his feather fan and stroked his goat beard to explain the precautions to the Tiandao sect. Lin Suying casually tucked the distressed jade talisman into her belt, her eyes fixed on the Broken Soul Valley. The training task for the disciples during this Qi cultivation period is to collect heavenly materials and earth treasures. Each of them has a list of 10 different heavenly materials and earth treasures, and they only need to gather 3 of them to pass the training. They can leave the soul-breaking valley in advance. During the Qi refining period, disciples can only search around the periphery, forming teams of no less than 3 people each. It is important not to enter the depths of the soul-breaking valley, where the raging Yin and Sha Qi is extremely dangerous. The Broken Soul Valley is a small secret realm formed by the energy of the Earth's Sha. The deep space is unstable, and there are many demon beasts. If the immortal Jiadan enters, it is easy to cause the space to collapse and the demon beasts are afraid. If not properly managed, it will trigger a wave of beasts. Therefore, unless absolutely necessary, the immortal Jiadan will not enter the Broken Soul Valley. In addition, the unique insects and herbs inside are only useful for Qi cultivation and foundation building cultivators, so the true people of Jidan basically do not come here to collect experiences. Iron Feather Immortal looked at Qin Yi and said in a low voice, "I have another mission. After entering the valley, I will be led by junior brother Song." Qin Yi is a personal disciple, and her experience tasks are not important to her. She came here mainly to search for the falling star. Lin Suying's eyes rolled and she had already guessed what task Qin Yi was tasked with. Recently, there haven't been many scattered cultivators entering and exiting the soul-broken valley, and I haven't seen anyone make a move on the star fragments in the Jinshan Square today. I hope the falling star is still there and hasn't been taken first. The star fragments are currently underestimated by the entire cultivation world. They are only used as materials for divination, communication, and refining. In addition, they can also use magic spells to draw out the power of the stars and increase the strength of the spirit of cultivators during the foundation period. Qin Yi has just entered the foundation building period, and after the valley breaking stage, it will be the calamity of the heart. This is the calamity of the heart and the devil. Regardless of one's aptitude or understanding, everyone's calamity of the heart is different. People with high understanding and experiencing various aspects of life are more likely to overcome it. In addition, those with strong divine souls can also resist it hard. However, even without the star fragments, there are many other replaceable spiritual objects in the cultivation world to strengthen the divine soul, so Qin Yi does not attach great importance to this search. Alright, that's all I need to say. The training will last for 30 days, so let's set off. With a wave of Iron Feather Immortal's feather fan, the barrier of the great formation at the mouth of the valley shimmered, slowly separating towards both sides, and a blocked green miasma rushed towards the face. The disciples immediately hurriedly took out the anti-miasma talisman and pasted it on their chests, taking the detoxification pill in advance to be on the safe side. Only Qin Yi remained immortal and unmoved, with a soft glow emanating from the blue jade talisman around her waist, making it difficult for the miasma to approach. Qin Yi glanced at Song Tianqi and the two of them led the way into the Broken Soul Valley. Lin Suying still followed behind everyone, sticking talismans to various parts of her body as she walked. In addition to avoiding miasma, she also pasted Vajra talismans, wind-warding talismans, and even fire and waterproof talismans. The body during the qi refining period is very fragile, so it's better to be careful for her weak soul fragments. As soon as you enter the valley, the air is stuffy, hot, and the stench is unbearable. The tall shrubs cover the sky and the sun, and the feet are covered in damp and decaying leaves. Centipede reptiles ravage the area, surrounded by various poisonous flowers and plants that seem calm, but in reality, the dark tide surges with a nauseating stench. From afar, the sound of night owls chirping can be heard, making people shudder. At the beginning, Qin Yi and Song Tianqi led the way, and Song Tianqi taught the disciples science while walking. That's the red-tailed scorpion, with a body full of fire poison. The one in the middle burns like a blazing fire. Look carefully at the tree in the front right, and there is a blood jade snake coiled around. The blood jade on the top of the head is a material for alchemy, but this snake is extremely poisonous and can kill people in just one breath. It's best not to provoke it below the foundation. The giant red flower in the front left is a decaying konjac, which sprays foul-smelling liquid and attracts a large number of bone-etching bees. Behind Song Tianqi, there was a difficult swallowing sound. The disciples arrived at the soul-breaking valley for the first time. Unlike facing those giant monsters, they at least dared to fight without poison. The poisonous insects and flowers here were simply too hard to provoke. Only Lin Suying, who was walking at the end, had bright eyes like pearls. The red-tailed scorpion dried 18 pieces of inferior spirit stones for medicinal purposes, and captured a pair of up to 60 pieces of inferior spirit stones alive. Blood jade snake venom drops 30 lower-grade spirit stones, snake skin refining tool, snake bones for medicine, snake gall for wine, perfect poison. Rotten konjac smells a bit bad, but if you can easily find the bone-etching honeycomb, a small bottle of bone-etching honey is worth 80 inferior spirit stones. Everyone avoided the corrupt konjac from a distance, while Lin Suying pondered how to reasonably leave the team and act alone. Just as Lin Suying was passing by the rotting konjac, she suddenly let out a hiss sound, and the huge rotting konjac center spewed out a red mist, instantly emitting a foul odor. Everyone turned around in shock and stared at Lin Suying, who was closest to the corrupt konjac. Zhao Zhen, what are you doing? Lin Suying had an inexplicable expression on her face, and it wasn't the rotten konjac she had startled. She was still 8 zhang away from the rotten konjac. But everyone seemed to believe it was her, gritting their teeth and glaring at her with resentful eyes. If you're a troublemaker, you shouldn't have taken her with you. The guy who only adds chaos and delays his progress. Lin Suying. Buzz, buzz. The sound of bee swarm vibration came, and the black tide surged in all directions, all of which were thumb-sized bone-etched bees. The venomous needles flickered at the back of the tail, and a violent attack struck. Formation. Qin let out a cold shout and drew his sword to sweep across. The sword light was like a moon, crushing over it, and the bee colony in front of it was immediately crushed into powder by the sword light. Under the leadership of Song Tianqi, the disciples formed their own formation in groups of 3, taking out magical weapons and talismans from behind. For a moment, various magical lights flickered and flickered, talismans fluttered and roared in the sky, and the bodies of bone-etched bee swarms rained down, with flames shining everywhere. Xiao Chang wielded a circular flame magic tool, leaning against Yao Jing to control the tool and surround himself. The flames forced the bees to not approach, and Yao Jing shook the red silk to stir the wind and clouds, blowing the red mist and stench into the distance. Qin stood with his defensive talisman light and his hands on his back, and he controlled his flying sword to kill in and out of the bee swarm. The sword light was icy and intimidating. After experiencing the initial panic, others slowly found their rhythm and defended in an orderly manner. Song Tianqi wanted to come to Lin Suying's side several times, but to his surprise, the swarm of bees kept flowing, making it impossible for him to break through. Lin Suying was left unattended and casually threw out 2 fire symbols. She fought and retreated away from the main army, scanning the distant path in her spare time, preparing to escape from there. At this moment, the rusty and rotten konjac sprayed a red mist odor towards Lin Suying, causing a loud buzzing sound. The bone-etching bee swarm rushed even more frantically towards the direction of the red mist odor. As Lin Suying was about to be engulfed by a swarm of bees, everyone involuntarily paused, with a sense of wanting to see Lin Suying suffer on her own. Suddenly, there was no one to help. Although Song Tianqi had a worried expression on his face, he calmly slowed down his speed and even blocked Qin Yi's body. Be careful. At this critical moment, a delicate voice sounded, and a red silk thread broke through the bee swarm and suddenly spread out behind Lin Suying. The flame golden ring followed closely behind, and the flames burst into the bee colony, instantly annihilating a large area of bone-etching bees. Lin Suying turned around and saw Xiao Chang and Yao Jing blocking behind her, her eyes widened in surprise. This. She didn't expect it. If you don't want to die, just follow everyone. Xiao Chang roared at Lin Suying. Ah! With a coquettish moan, Yao Jing, in order to protect Lin Suying, did not withdraw her red silk in time. She was scratched on the arm by the bone-etching bee venom, and her face was immediately covered with a layer of black mist. Yao Jing! Xiao Chang shouted anxiously, blocking Lin Suying while protecting Yao Jing, feeling extremely anxious. Sigh. With a sigh, a simple hand fiercely pushed Xiao Chang away. In the next moment, the sound of drawing a sword was heard, and Lin Suying raised her hand and pulled out her umbrella short sword from behind to slay it with her hand. Sword and shadow split light, everywhere. The swarms of black bees were instantly annihilated in the dazzling sword light, leaving only black ash drifting away with the wind. Click. The sound of broken wood came in their ears, and everyone turned their heads in shock. They saw that the huge rot-heart konjac plant had been split in half and was collapsing with a loud bang. At the center of the cracking of the decaying konjac, there is also a highly poisonous green snake that has been cut 7 inches apart. The whole scene was silent, even the howling wind stopped under the power of that sword, leaving only a pair of incredulous eyes fixed on Lin Suying. You. When will you? Xiao Chang looked surprised and wanted to ask Xiao Zhen when she had learned swordsmanship, but when he spoke, he was intimidated by her murderous aura and couldn't ask. Everyone, like Xiao Chang, couldn't believe that Zhao Zhen, one of the bottom two girls from the outer gate, could strike a sword far beyond Qin Yi. With just one sword, it almost wiped out the bone-etching bee colony that made others anxious, completely overturning cognition. Unbelievable. No sword left. The move of Senior Suying. Qin Yi's eyes widened in amazement, staring at Lin Suying for an instant, with feelings of envy brewing in her eyes. When has this Zhao Zhen been so valued by Senior Suying? What about her? Can you also learn some moves from Senior Suying? Song Tianqi's pupils trembled and his fist clenched tightly, his heart shocked beyond measure, but he dared not reveal it and could only stand there in a daze. Lin Suying lightly scanned the crowd, then took a deep look at the green snake in the center of the decaying konjac, and withdrew her sword and umbrella. The decaying konjac was destroyed, leaving only a small swarm of bees. Lin Suying took out a package of medicinal powder and waved her hand to sprinkle it, and the bees immediately fled like a formidable enemy. Immediately after, before Yao Jing could react, Lin Suying pressed a pill into her mouth. Xiao Chang was about to erupt when he saw the situation, but was grabbed by Yao Jing. Yao Jing struggled to swallow the pill, and the black mist on his face gradually dissipated. Seeing this, Xiao Chang felt guilty in his eyes and intended to apologize. Is Zhao Zhen right? You shut up. Lin Suying drank Xiao Chang off and scanned the crowd with a look of grievance and anger. You all look down on me and feel like I'm holding you back. Since that's the case, okay. 30 years. Pooh. Yunzi is such a broken word that he is so familiar that he is about to say it out loud. I'll go. I'll leave immediately and not implicate you anymore. I'll bear the responsibility for life or death myself, and no one of you cares about me. As soon as the words fell, Lin Suying turned around and walked away. Before everyone could react, she had already disappeared at the end of the path without a trace. Zhao Zhen. Song Tianqi suddenly realized and rushed to chase after him, but was stopped by Qin Yi's horizontal sword. Brother Song, don't forget that you are the leader of the team. Besides, Zhao Zhen is well hidden and may not be in danger. If there is no danger of twists and turns, how can we practice? Song Tianqi clenched his fists tightly, feeling helpless. For a moment, everyone felt regretful. If they had known Zhao Zhen was so powerful, they would have won over earlier. Later, Qin Yi left the team, and Song Tianqi also had his own training tasks. Only Zhao Zhen, like them, was an outsider Qi training disciple. With such a formidable teammate on the side, not only can we complete the training tasks earlier, but we can also ensure safety. Unfortunately, it's too late to regret. Qin Yi noticed everyone's expressions with indifference. It's better to rely on oneself than on others. Put aside your arrogant attitude and go to the library to learn and seek advice when you have time. Maybe you can have unexpected adventures. Qin Yi's gaze flickered in the direction of the Heavenly Dao Sect. Senior Suying, I will help you fulfill your wish to preach and teach. End of this chapter. Chapter 8. Xuanming Yin Sha Umbrella. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 8 Xuanming Yin Sha Umbrella 7 days later. The miasma permeates, and the rain drips. Under the giant tree covered in vines, the spiritual fruits are as red as fire, hidden among the lush green leaves, emitting tempting aromas. Squeak, the spine-piercing mouse dragged its long tail carefully through the withered leaves, gradually approaching the spirit candle fruit. Lingzhu fruit was in front, and the spine-piercing mouse raised its nose and kept sniffing. Its eyes flickered as it opened its mouth and bit towards Lingzhu fruit. Hush! The green leaves suddenly erupted next to it, revealing a triangular-headed venomous snake covered in green leaf patterns. Its sharp fangs instantly pierced the spine-piercing rat's body. Venom injected, and the spine-piercing mouse struggled twice before losing its breath. The venomous snake coiled its long tail around the spirit candle fruit, opened its mouth and was about to devour the spine-piercing rat. A bare hand lightning struck and quickly, accurately, and fiercely cut it 7 inches. The Lingzhu fruit was stored in a storage bag, and Lin Suying peeled off the snake's skin to squeeze out the snake gallbladder. She opened the lid of the wine gourd and soaked the snake gallbladder in it, shaking it and taking a deep breath of the alcohol. It's really fragrant. The snake skin and meat were stored in different storage bags, and Lin Suying took out the map to identify the direction. Further ahead, passing through the Wind Creek leads to the hinterland of the Soul-Broken Valley. Someone in the Zhenshanfang mentioned that falling stars is in the direction of falling into the Wind Creek. At this moment, a yellow talisman quietly rushed up to Lin Suying's shoulder and patted her face with his hand. Lin Suying's gaze swept slightly towards a certain point in the back, her lips curled up, and she continued on. In the rear, 2 black-robed cultivators with 9 layers of chi cultivation were tense, staring intently at the tracking tool in their hands. And it disappeared again. The chubby cultivator let out a low cry, wiped away the cold sweat from his head, and quickly manipulated the magic tool to search around. In his hand, this is a second-level Earth Demon magic weapon called the Seeking Mirror, with 18 layers of Earth Demon prohibition. With just 1 hair, he can lock the opponent's position, making it impossible for them to escape the tracking of the magic weapon. He has tracked no less than 100 people with this earthly magic weapon, including even the late Foundation building cultivators, and has never missed it. But these days, I've only been tracking a female cultivator who has been practicing chi for 7 layers, and I've actually missed 5 times, 5 times. Damn it, this woman is simply poisonous. The tall and thin cultivator spat and threw the compass in his hand to the ground. He, like a chubby cultivator, couldn't pinpoint his position with a compass. He was proficient in numerology, but during several divination attempts, he discovered that the woman had some anti-divination methods on her body, making it impossible for him to calculate the correct position. This type of secret technique for preventing pushing and spreading can only be mastered with cultivation above the stage of forming pills, and all of them are small divine powers that surpass higher level spells. She is an external female cultivator with 7 levels of chi cultivation, but without a deep background, how could she possibly master the anti-pushing and spreading technique at the level of a small divine power? Short and chubby cultivators and thin and tall cultivators exchanged a glance. They were both the best at tracking in the Yin Fu sect. Should they stumble here? Try again. The tall and thin cultivator was unwilling and picked up the compass again to calculate. The chubby cultivator nodded, and the 2 of them sat cross-legged under the giant tree, completely not worried about any snakes, insects, or ants appearing around them. This is also the blessing of Torino's shadow. As long as it is the place she has walked through, anything of some value, whether it is plants, insects, ants, birds, or monsters, will not leave a single strand of hair. Even if it's a mouse hole or a bird's nest, it needs to be cleaned up, and although her cultivation is not high, she knows where the 7 inches of each poisonous monster are. Various strange medicinal powders are constantly emerging on her body, and she can easily handle everything with ease. This is not the Soul Saber Valley, it's just her backyard. They followed Lin Suying 5 times before, and in the end, they relied on primitive tracking techniques to see where the spiritual vegetation had been harvested. Snakes, insects, venomous ants, and monsters were completely killed before they could rediscover Lin Suying's tracks. At this moment, she has just disappeared and will have to wait for a while to distinguish such traces. After a moment. Found it. The short and chubby monk's face showed joy, excitedly pointing at the blurry figure on the tracking mirror that could barely be seen as a person. Last time tracking the Foundation building cultivator, he almost got killed. He was not so excited and happy, and had a sense of achievement. Chase. The 2 of them immediately took action, walking and stopping all the way, always following behind Lin Suying. After struggling for about half an hour, the chubby cultivator looked around and suddenly became puzzled. Do you feel that something is wrong? We seem to have been circling around. The tall and thin cultivator was examining the traces around him when suddenly a strange noise came from under his feet. He lifted his foot and saw half a paper figure exposed in the decaying black mud. Seeing this, both of them felt a thump in their hearts at the same time. Isn't it tiring to follow all the way? A cold female voice came from above, and the two of them looked up to see the black-clad woman Xiao holding a yellow talisman umbrella with expressionless lowered eyes. As soon as the words fell, talismans rose from among the paper figures, instantly transforming into an inverted glass cup that sealed off the surroundings. They followed Lin Suying in circles ahead, but in fact, they had already fallen into the paper figure talisman array arranged by Lin Suying in advance. Lin Suying's wrist twirled, and the yellow talisman umbrella spun rapidly. 36 silver rays shot out from the umbrella bone, sharp like a sword with lightning flash, exuding a murderous aura. Poo-poo poo-poo. Silver rays enter the body, and blood splatters everywhere. Everything happens and ends in a blink of an eye. Two cultivators who had practiced 9 levels of Qi didn't even have a chance to react, and one face-to-face was instantly killed by Lin Suying. They couldn't even believe that this female cultivator, whose cultivation was not as high as theirs, was so strong. Without waiting for the shocked corpse to fall, a faint light flashed on the yellow talisman umbrella, and the two human souls were drawn away from the corpse. Lin Suying raised her hand, and 30.6 silver rays returned to the umbrella bone. The yellow talisman umbrella, which had collected the human soul, closed on its own and fell into her hand. The umbrella body vibrated, and the souls of the people inside struggled violently. The blood symbols on the umbrella bones flickered, and everything calmed down. This Dutian Xuanming strategy is really a good treasure, but unfortunately, I can only refine a simple version of Xuanming Yin Sha umbrella at the moment, but it's enough. This treasure is obtained from the inheritance of Yunzi. Yunzi's original version of the Dutian Xuanming strategy was refined by her all the way to the top-level Heavenly Gang magic treasure with 36 levels of Heavenly Gang prohibition. With just one thunder calamity, the artifact spirit could be born and promoted to the postnatal spiritual treasure. The Dutian Xuanming strategy was also a famous treasure of Yunzi in the past. It can form the heavenly qi by devouring all things with spiritual energy, and create the Dutian ghost generals and Xuanming Yin soldiers. At its peak, Yunzi refined 70.2 heavenly ghost generals comparable to the Xuanming period and 3600 dark underworld Yin soldiers with the Dan formation period. One person forms an army and slaughters all sides. Lin Suying has been saving up the original materials for 100 years, and in a hurry to go out, she can only simplify it. Let's refine a Xuanming Yin Sha umbrella that can raise 9 heavenly ghost generals and 450 Xuanming Yin soldiers. Although not as powerful as the Dutian Xuanming strategy, she made other changes to make it more comprehensive in other aspects. For example, the blood shadow sword in the umbrella that can separate sword shadows and light, and the Yuan magnetic destruction needle that can conquer the 5 elements of the world with 30.6 roots. The umbrella surface also uses a whole high-level illusion hide animal skin, which not only increases defense power without being soaked in water and fire, but also masks breath and disguises itself as an ordinary defense tool, the Huangluo umbrella. As long as she doesn't use the ghost to summon the Yin weapon, anyone who scans over will not notice any clues. Upon closer inspection, at most, she thinks it is a magical tool with some Yin and Sha energy. Accumulated for 100 years, 90% of the time is for this thing. At the end of this experience, it must first enter the level of the Earth Demon magic treasure. I originally thought of Yin Feng Jian absorbing some Yin Sha Qi to refine a few Yin soldiers for self-defense, but I didn't expect to first obtain 2 cultivator souls, which can be refined into 2 ghost generals. Lin Suying put away her umbrella and jumped down from the tree, taking away all the belongings from the 2 corpses. She drew out the blood shadow sword from the umbrella and sucked out all the blood from the corpses, as well as the scattered blood droplets around them. Then, she took out 2 yellow talismans and patted them on the corpses to ensure that they did not cheat. Even if a corpse is refined into a walking corpse, it can be used for combat and self-defense. If it goes smoothly, swallowing some ghost beast souls in the hinterland can also refine it into an iron corpse. Even cultivators in the later stages of building foundations can withstand it. It is shameful to make the most of things and waste them. Lin Suying took out the storage bag she received from Song Tianqi and put the body in it, with 3 paper figures pasted on it. After checking again and ensuring that there was no trace left, Lin Suying continued to head towards the direction of the Een Wind Creek. Een Wind Creek is a narrow mountain stream, and the entire Burial Soul Valley is in the shape of a gourd. Een Wind Creek is located at the waist of the gourd and is a necessary path to enter the hinterland of the inner valley. There is no grass growing here, and there are scattered stones everywhere. The howling Een wind is like ghosts crying and wolves howling. As soon as Lin Suying arrived here, she felt a twinge of pain in the sea of consciousness of the Heavenly Dao Sect. She quickly flashed through some chaotic scenes, all of which were scenes in the valley. Apart from her own memories, only scattered memories of Yunzi remain in her mind. At this moment, feeling the scenery brings emotions. Could it be that Yunzi has come here before? If so, it is highly likely that she also came to refine the 9-turning heavenly heart lotus for spiritual cultivation. Although Yunzi is a demon lord who is notorious for his evil deeds, Lin Suying has no idea about her background or past. The only thing she knows is that Yunzi also struggled to rise from ghost cultivation, so she has many methods for refining corpses for Lin Suying to refer to. The pain came and went quickly, and those scattered images had no reference value. Lin Suying shook her head and looked around. She didn't rush into the hinterland, but instead found a hidden crack on the mountain wall and set up a paper formation, deciding to repair it overnight before entering the valley. Zhao Zhen's body is too fragile to resist the Yin and evil energy. After entering the valley, she must be extremely careful, otherwise playing with it will not be good. Sitting against the mountain wall, Lin Suying finally had the time to examine what the 2 cultivators had dropped. When she saw the long hair in the seeking mirror, a cold smile flashed in Lin Suying's eyes. The fox's tail is finally exposed. Let me see how Zhao Zhen has offended you. Lin Suying took down the Xuanming Yin Sha umbrella, and her divine sense forcefully invaded it, searching for the soul memories of the 2 cultivators. End of this chapter. Chapter 9. The Inheritance of the Demon Lord. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 9. The Inheritance of the Demon Lord. After a search, Lin Suying's face turned a bit pale. She leaned against the mountain wall, closed her eyes and focused, secretly operating the star technique to absorb the power of the stars and nourish the soul fragments deep in the sea. Fortunately, it is late at night and the power of the stars is abundant. You 2 little brats know quite a bit, it's simply not in line with the setting. Lin Suying has been influenced by Yunzi, and her mouth has been constantly full of strange words and expressions over the years. However, this is only limited to her own strong personality, which cannot be easily influenced by Yunzi. Placing the umbrella at the entrance to absorb the essence of Yin and Sha, Lin Suying rubbed her forehead. Based on her own knowledge and reasonable speculation, she finally understood the cause and effect. In the dark, she had a sense of destiny, and ultimately it was related to Yunzi, a chain reaction triggered by her arrangement 100 years ago. At that time, Yunzi was arrogant and thought that no one in this world could kill her. In order to obtain a perfect body refining clone, she formulated 2 major plans. One is to set up a fake secret realm to lure cultivators from all over the world to pass the level trials with heavy treasures and profits. The person who ultimately passes must be an excellent enough person, thinking that they can obtain the treasures in the secret realm. However, in the end, she cheats Yunzi and kills her to take her body. After robbing the corpse, Yunzi inherits the identity of that person, unaware of the gods and ghosts, and can continue to walk in the cultivation world without worrying about her hidden schemes being exposed. This time, the bait cave left by Yunzi in the Beiluo realm was broken by someone. In fact, the 100-year period was also set by her own. Once the cave formation fails, it will reappear on its own without anyone breaking it. There is a directory in the cave, which records the total list of martial arts secrets, magical treasures, spiritual tools, and top-notch pills that Yunzi seized during his years of fighting against various major sections. There are no superior martial arts or innate spiritual tools inside. This poked the hornet's nest in the entire cultivation world, sparking a nationwide treasure hunt, and also making the long-dormant demonic sects eager to revive. Back then, those sects that had been attacked by Yunzi were afraid of losing face and dared not disclose to the public that the martial arts and spiritual weapons left by their ancestors had been taken. Moreover, after Fang Shozhen destroyed Yunzi, the Heavenly Dao Sect even vigorously promoted that Fang Shozhen had returned all the items of each sect without monopolizing them at all. So even if people have guesses, they can only guess. At most, they should secretly pay attention to the clues in this area and not really go to great lengths to find them. But ultimately, this directory has lifted the veil of shame from various sections. Those who are interested only need to think carefully to discover that no one has seen the treasures of these sects since then. Furthermore, Yunzi has collected countless treasures and techniques throughout her life, and she cannot carry them all with her. Therefore, even if she dies, there will definitely be some treasures left in various caves. This is the antecedent of the whole matter. In recent years, Tiandao Sect has successively arrested several demon cultivators, which is what Song Tianqi said, holding high the banner of revenge for the demon lord. Among them, there is a demon tribe known as the Poison Dragon Venerable, who once served as a Yunzi mount in the Demon Night Forest, which can be considered close to the old tribe. This matter is well known throughout the vast wilderness of the 9 continents. As a result, many remnants of evil have infiltrated the Heavenly Dao Sect, fearing that those with high cultivation will attract attention. They have all sought out disciples with pure backgrounds who practice qi. Starting from being miscellaneous disciples, they have gradually been promoted to hibernation within the Heavenly Dao Sect, and the longest time seems to have exceeded 10 years. The leader of the righteous path is almost being infiltrated into a sieve by the demon path. Lin Suying sneered, the credit for spying on intelligence is too small. When we go back, we will take them to kill Fang Shozhen and eliminate that servant together. It must be the first credit of the demon path. The Heavenly Dao Sect may not be able to directly kill the Poison Dragon Venerable souls for some reasons, and they wanted to know something from the Poison Dragon Venerable's mouth, so they thought of Yu Qingfeng. Yu Qingfeng comes from a barbarian land and is good at controlling goo. In addition to alchemy, he has a unique set of poisonous punishment heart-piercing Shura Gu technique for interrogation. As for whether Yu Qingfeng has interrogated the location of Yunzi Cave, the leaders of those 2 subordinates are very certain, because they have received insider information from the Heavenly Dao Sect that after Yu Qingfeng got drunk, he mentioned the inheritance of the Demon Lord and the location of the Demon Night Forest Cave to his alchemy apprentices who took care of him. This alchemy apprentice is Zhao Zhen, who is deeply loved by Yu Qingfeng and has always been able to freely enter and exit Yu Qingfeng's alchemy room. Lin Suying also didn't expect that things would revolve around such a big circle, and ultimately fall on the small qi practitioner Zhao Zhen. The problem now is that Yu Qingfeng's habit of boasting when drinking alcohol was learned from her, so Zhao Zhen may not really know where Yunzi's cave is. But she knows. She not only knows one place, but also knows that Yunzi intends to locate all the caves in the entire wilderness. TSK, your group of demonic cultivators are really lucky. Lin Suying sneered and said that as long as these demon cultivators catch her and search her soul, they can ascend to the sky in one step and obtain all the inheritance and relics of the demon lord. However, compared to those external possessions, Lin Suying has already inherited the largest fortune left by Yunzi. Lin Suying silently closed her eyes, her consciousness sinking into the divine soul. In the twinkling starlight, she communicated with her own body and entered the realm of her own divine soul. In the depths of the Milky Way, the huge and heavy palace gate slowly opened, revealing a magnificent palace in front of Lin Suying. She walked slowly into the magnificent hall on both sides, with white jade stairs spiraling upwards. The height of the hall was inexplicable, extending infinitely upwards, and the entire palace was filled with bookshelves and countless books. The Dan Fu tool formation, qin, chess, calligraphy, painting, medicine, and everything that Yun Zi can collect in his lifetime, even the lowest level of cleansing dust technique, are all included here. In addition, there is also a lot of knowledge that does not belong to this world. This was built by Yun Zi according to the method of her world's memory palace, and she named it Endless Hall, meaning endless learning. Over the course of 100 years, Lin Suying did not feel that the existence of the endless palace was long, but rather very fulfilling. There were even many things in it that she had not learned, and it would still take the next century or even the next century to fully integrate them. After seeing this endless palace, Lin Suying had to admit that Yun Zi's ability to become the Demon Lord was not only due to her timing but also to her own eagerness to learn. The magic treasures will be worn out, the pills will be consumed, and the stolen techniques will only be a jade slip placed there. Only by mastering the art of refining tools and pills, and keeping all the secret techniques in one's mind, can one become an existence that no one can take away. This is something that Lin Suying rarely agrees with Yun Zi, but one code after another, just like Zhao Zhen's bad behavior, but a person who works hard enough, Yun Zi's diligence and eagerness to learn cannot erase her crime of causing trouble for the people. However, Lin Suying is not the judge. She only remembers the grudge between herself and Yun Zi, and everything else is none of her business. But you demons dare to covet my things, that's none of my business. Lin Suying slowly opened her eyes. Yun Zi's arrangement from 100 years ago will gradually start with the emergence of that bait in this world. That is to say, after this bait, the trial cave will also quickly surface. For authenticity, there will indeed be some treasures and secrets inside. She needs to seize the time to retrieve these things that belong to her. Most of them don't matter, even if she can't get them. She can still refine them as long as there are materials, but there are a few things that cannot fall into the hands of others, which play a decisive role in her subsequent plans. For example, Yun Zi has been planning for a long time, but has not yet implemented the second plan of collecting corpses. The Lord God plan. Her thoughts drifted too far away, and Lin Suying quickly calmed down. Time was tight, and she had to quickly refine the 2 corpses into walking corpses to increase her means of survival. At this moment, in her eyes, Lin Suying is no longer the sole master of swordsmanship. Any means that can kill, save lives, and make money are good, without distinction between good and evil. Moreover, each of the 3,000 paths in this world has its own unique strengths. The more she learns, the more she feels that her vision is short-sighted and her knowledge is scarce. She has a feeling of hunger and thirst for everything, wishing she could have 3,000 clones and learn all 3,000 paths. There was nothing to do overnight, and the next morning, a heavy rain started pouring down from the soul-breaking valley. The miasma dissipated, and my vision was clear. When the 2 zombies rushed towards, they carried heavy blood shadows and scattered left and right to maintain a wild goose formation with Lin Suying, carefully crossing the Yin Feng Jian. These 2 goods, one thin and tall like a bamboo pole, and the other short and chubby like a weight. After careful consideration, Lin Suying decided to name one Jintiao and the other Yuanbao. 2 walking corpses were sacrificed and refined by her in the blood shadow technique. This technique was originally practiced by normal people, but it is extremely dangerous and can be considered as a rapid success technique in the demonic way. It combines the yin and evil energy with itself to create heavy blood shadows. When facing the enemy, the blood shadow is overwhelming, fearless of the protective magic treasure passing through the body, devouring the life, blood, essence, and soul of the living, making it impossible to defend against. However, once this method begins to be practiced, it requires a daily life of blood and food, otherwise it will self-consume and eventually be sucked into a corpse by the blood shadows it has refined. She has been studying magic techniques for a long time and found that walking corpses are more suitable for this blood shadow technique than humans for cultivation. She only needs to separate a strand of soul during the first cultivation to help the walking corpses bring yin and evil energy into their body circulation. Compared to the general method of refining corpses, this method can make the defense and killing power of zombies during the chi refining period reach the initial level of foundation building, and always lead by one level. The interior of the soul-broken valley is constantly plagued by yin wind, even though it rains heavily at this time, the wind still cuts like a knife. Lin Suying was dressed in a black robe to conceal her true appearance and figure, with yellow talisman paper figures sticking to her front and back, supporting a faint light shield to isolate the dark wind. Due to her martial arts, as soon as she entered the hinterland, she could feel the power of the stars emanating from somewhere, so she headed straight for that place with 2 walking corpses, carefully avoiding the fierce monsters and poisons along the way. After about 2 hours, Lin Suying avoided the large number of decaying crocodiles guarding the swamp and finally approached the place where the stars fell. However, there were only gravel left in the dark pit, and the star core was not visible. Did someone take the lead? Lin Suying frowned. Just as I was thinking about it, the spiritual energy ahead surged, and a white-clad girl covered in blood appeared out of thin air, like a shell, directly hitting Lin Suying. It was undoubtedly Qin Yi, the head of the inner sect of their Heavenly Dao Sect. Lin Su stepped back and watched as Qin Yi flew past her, slamming heavily into the bushes in the distance. She rolled more than 10 circles before stopping. Looking up again, I saw a black-robed demon cultivator galloping towards me in the distance, driving the rolling black mist. Isn't that the leader of those 2 minions? Lin Suying frowned and realized that the matter was not simple, silently taking a few steps back. End of this chapter. Chapter 10. 9 Transformations of Heavenly Heart Lotus. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 10 9 Transformations of Heavenly Heart Lotus. At this moment, Qin Yi, leaning on his sword in the distance, climbed up, covered in terrifying bloodstains, with a black aura wriggling like a worm inside. His cold and gorgeous face was also covered with a layer of black aura. She gave Lin Suying a faint glance and said, "This demon cultivator has been tracking my disciples of the Heavenly Dao Sect with ulterior motives. Today, I will take him down. If you can help, Qin Yi would be extremely grateful. If you don't want to cough, please leave quickly." Lin Suying is simply impressed. At this time, you might as well crush the distressed jade talisman or run away quickly. What's the point of fighting? Don't you know that there are many ways in the demon realm that specialize in defeating righteous cultivators? The dead look is just like her Shifu Lu Chongqing. Do you think being praised as the head of the internal team is really impressive? Can Zhong Nei Bai Do and Zhendao Zhengun fight and fight equally? As Lin Suying watched the black-robed demon cultivator in the later stage of foundation construction approach, she shook her head and rushed towards Qin Yi. Qin Yi frowned slightly as she was about to take precautions. Lin Suying raised her hand and violently shook her chest, immediately spitting out a large mouthful of blood. Burning blood escape method. Qin Yi paused and was held down on her shoulder by Lin Suying. Blood flashed through her, and before Lin Suying could land, she disappeared with Qin Yi in an instant. When the black-robed demon cultivator arrived, he could not trace any trace and could only smell the faint smell of blood in the air. Devil's Way escape technique. Under the black robe, a soft and seductive female voice came out, and after some thought, she rushed towards the outskirts of the soul-broken valley. In the dark cave, Qin Yi sat on the ground, holding down her bleeding arm and looking at the person not far away for a moment. Wearing a mask and wrapped in a pitch-black cloak, the man and woman were indistinguishable. Although she looked somewhat similar to the demon cultivator's attire, this person saved her, which made Qin slightly lower her guard. Thank you very much for your help, Taoist friend. Qin will remember this kindness in her heart. Lin Suying gasped for breath. If it weren't for the huge gap in cultivation, she wouldn't have used the burning blood escape technique to avoid being tracked down. If you spit out this mouthful of blood and don't compensate her with 500, you won't be able to finish the lower grade spirit stone. Remember in your heart, how will that friend repay you? Lin Suying suppressed her voice and stared at Qin for a moment, looking up and down. Qin was impatiently stared at by Lin Suying's fiery gaze, looking at her in confusion. Lin Suying approached step by step, and Jia smiled strangely. Didn't your elders have taught you before? You must have a heart to defend yourself. Even though I was using magical methods, I still wanted to repay you. There is no one here. How do you think I want you to repay me? As soon as the words fell, Lin Suying suddenly made a move and a piece of paper talisman slammed onto Qin Yi's shoulder. Her whole body was frozen like ice, stiff and lifeless, unable to move at all. She could only lean against the mountain wall and look at the person in front of her with wide-open eyes in shock. His chin was suddenly lifted, and Lin Suying wiped the bloodstains from the corner of Qin Yi's mouth with her fingertips. His small face is actually delicate and tender, but I don't know if he's also so delicate on this body, she said. Lin Suying's gaze shifted downwards and turned to Qin Yi's chest. You! Dare you! Qin Yi only realized at this moment, with a pale complexion and a sense of fear and humiliation that he had never experienced before, trembling uncontrollably throughout his body. Lin Suying smiled and leaned in Qin Yi's ear to exhale softly, remember your fear at this moment, remember it for a lifetime. A pill was pressed into Qin Yi's mouth, and Lin Suying's hand leaned towards her belt. Qin Yi opened her eyes in fear, tears of helplessness overflowing from the corners of her eyes. As soon as she thought of what she was about to encounter, she suddenly had thoughts of self-isolation. Unfortunately, her tongue was numb, her body could not move, and she could not even seek death. His gaze was slowly engulfed by darkness from the edge, leaving only a pair of eyes with sinister smiles engraved in Qin Yi's heart. Watching Qin Yi faint, Lin Suying shook her head. Lu Chongqing, this brat, doesn't know how to teach you how to have a treacherous heart. He's like a daughter slave and only knows how to protect you. He dares to release you alone like this. Lin Suying searched Qin Yi and said, oh, there are really many magic weapons. It seems that bastard is not unprepared, but no amount of magic weapons are as useful as his own caution, young girl. Piercing Qin Yi's finger, Lin Suying used a special technique to untie the Qin Yi storage bracelet. Looking inside, she almost jumped with joy. The entire star core. It turned out you took it away. She originally thought she could grab a few fragments, but now she has a fist-sized star core, which is enough for her to use for a long time and create dozens of clones. The falling star is huge, but the core that truly contains energy is usually the size of a fist, and the surrounding fragments are useless. Alright, with this star core, the cost of saving you will be waived. She didn't dare to use or sell Qin Yi's things even if she took them. Who knows if Lu Chongqing was doing anything on them, it's not worth it. Lin Suying put back the storage bracelet, scanned the wound filled with Qin Yi's demonic aura, found her distressed jade talisman, crushed it and quickly moved away from the cave. Not long after, Dun Guang cut through the sky and headed straight towards the cave. Iron Yuzhenren was shocked to see Qin Yi unconscious and opened his eyes wide. The chief disciple of the inner sect, with high expectations, did not persist for 10 days and failed the first training. This is simply unbelievable. Iron Feather Immortal felt a headache when he thought of Chongqing Zhenjuan's cautious and dignified appearance. Sigh. A heavy sigh came from the cave, as he was about to take Qin Yi away. Suddenly, Iron Feather realized that all the wounds on her body were filled with a demonic aura, and he became alert. Lin Suying hid in the dense canopy, watching the escape light disappear from afar, hoping that Iron Feather Immortal could quickly find a way to cultivate those few demons. Command Yuanbao and Jintiao to guard the surroundings. Lin Suying took a cherry-sized star fragment and sucked it into her mouth like a monster swallowing an inner pill. After a moment, her eyes were sparkling with the stars, orbiting in the same direction as the stars above her head. Starlight fades away, and the fragments of stars and souls blend perfectly, disappearing into the sea of consciousness without a trace. A warm breath spread from her eyebrows to her entire body, and all obstacles and drawbacks were eliminated at this moment, making her feel that her soul and body were in perfect harmony, no longer controlling the corpse, but truly living in this body. The core of the stars has been obtained, and where is the 9-turning heavenly heart lotus that is used to refine spiritual bodies? Yun Zi has been here before, and it is very likely that he is also looking for the 9-turning heavenly heart lotus, but unfortunately, his memory is incomplete. Lin Suying looked deep into the Broken Soul Valley and decided to continue searching inside until her body reached its maximum capacity before returning. If you still can't find the 9-turning heavenly heart lotus, then compromise and bring back the body of the Tianxian Battle Ape King. There is a book in Wuya Temple that mentions that humans evolved from apes. Although Lin Suying is skeptical about this, the bodies of apes are indeed the closest to humans. Mao may have grown a bit, but she's still more agile than her stiff zombie body, right? Tianxian Battle Ape King is already the pinnacle of ape beauty, and after fusion, he can also cultivate and play with sticks to eat peaches. Ugly is ugly, what can she do? She is also very desperate. With a wipe on her face, Lin Suying pulled up her hood and sprinkled the medicinal powder that could dispel poisonous insects and monsters on her body. She continued her journey towards the depths of the Broken Soul Valley with her ingot and gold bar. After 3 days of heading north, collecting bone-etched bees, and eliminating a nest of black-armored bats, I dug in the bat dung pit for half a day and gained about 10 pounds of black-armored night sand. The odor was hard to eliminate. 5 days further northwest, I dug up a nest of iron fire ant eggs and encountered 3 groups of scattered cultivators who were collecting medicine deep in the foundation. They watched a treasure hunt and fought each other. Lin Suying's escape technique infiltrated, pulled out the spiritual grass they had seized, and ran away. Searching northwest without any results, then turning northeast, while stealing snake eggs, he encountered a blue smoke snake king who was comparable to the early stage of alchemy. He was chased 80 miles and dug up a cluster of thunder-type refining materials, Qingguaizu, along the way. He also collected more than 30 Tianjing sakura fruits, that can quickly replenish true qi. Half of the entire training time has passed, and Lin Suying continues to explore, with her footprints covering most of the hinterland. Except for the places guarded by the big demons with the stage of pill formation or above, she has not let go of the stone crevices in other places. And after she came in, due to Yun Zi's scattered memories, she kept searching for familiar places according to intuition, but still couldn't find them. The storage bag is full of 9, especially the 3 blue smoke snake eggs on the body. If you sell them, at least you have to start with medium-grade spirit stones. Lin Suying is preparing to sell 2 and keep 1 for herself. This snake feeds on miasma toxins and can swallow and vomit them to refine them into a blue smoke demon wind. It is a truly elemental tool that pollutes people and is extremely poisonous. Even if this experience ends here, she has already made a lot of money, but she is still unwilling to find the 9-turning heavenly heart lotus. Later on, Yun Zi merged various magic treasures to refine her own spiritual body. She should have found the 9-turning heavenly heart lotus. In the giant devouring mouse cave that was completely destroyed by Lin Suying, she nibbled on the Tianjing cherry fruit to quickly replenish the lost true energy. At this moment, the blue smoke snake king was still wandering outside, frantically tapping with the snake tail everywhere, causing birds and beasts to scatter and the earth to shake. Lin Suying shook off dust and gravel all over her head, checked what was on her lower body, and found that the talismans, medicinal powder, and other items she had brought out were basically depleted. Even the things she had obtained from the two minions were only a few useless magical tools left. At this point, the external Yin Sha Qi had become so strong that her body could not resist it. It was best to lead the Blue Smoke Snake King to the mountain to find the Tianxian Battle Ape King, which was also her initial plan. Snake and ape fight each other, Suying benefits, perfect. After finishing the fruit, Lin Suying took a deep breath and took out the last few paper figures as well as an ugly cloth doll as big as a palm, ready to go out and tease the Blue Smoke Snake King again. Boom! At this moment, a snake tail pierced through the soil layer above her head, causing Lin Suying to stumble backwards. The rock layer behind her collapsed, and a strong Yin Sha energy burst out from the depths of the cave. When the protective talisman light was broken through from behind, the eyes of the Blue Smoke Snake King, which were the size of a grinding disc, were looking through the crack in his head, and his fishy yellow vertical pupils were filled with Yin poison. At that moment, several images flashed through Lin Suying's mind, as if the scene had reappeared. Yun Zi has an adventure here. When the scene disappeared, Lin Suying raised her lips and shouted to the Blue Smoke Snake King with her hooked fingers, "Come here." After speaking, he turned around to face the Yin Sha Qi and rushed towards the collapsed rock wall. Zhao Zhen's fragile body was cut open by the Yin Sha Qi, and blood turned into drops of blood in the strong wind, scattering towards the rear. Boom! The snake's head fiercely charged open the narrow cave, opened its bloody mouth, flipped its fangs, and swallowed Lin Suying in one bite. The snake's head charged unstoppably and crashed straight into the darkness underground. The Yin wind was raging, and black lights as thin as spider silk flashed past. The entire giant snake split into pieces in the darkness, splattering blood on the spot. The huge snake head was cut in half and fell to the ground with a loud bang. Lin Suying, covered in mucus, rolled out of it, and a cloth doll that was also torn apart fell from her hand. At this moment it was covered in snake venom and was smoking, gradually turning into a pool of blood, leaving only a strand of black hair in the center. Lin Suying stood up, pressing on her painful arm, surrounded by shattered snake bodies. She looked up and saw the black silk interweaving into a net at the broken hole above her head, gradually disappearing. She had a bad luck and didn't enter through the proper entrance. Fortunately, the Blue Smoke Snake King and a substitute puppet blocked the power of the formation, otherwise she would have broken her body. In the pitch-black tomb, the eternal lamp still flickered with a faint light. In the center, a bronze coffin was half opened, and two lotus flowers were juxtaposed, red as blood, swaying in the wind of Yin and evil. 9 turns of Heavenly Heart Lotus, or double lotus with parallel stems. Lin Suying opened the Xuanming Yin Sha umbrella to temporarily resist the surrounding Yin Sha Qi, and quickly walked towards the bronze hull. However, before she could reach it, she was startled by 2 lines of blood characters on the ground. Fang Shouzhen killed me, this grudge is unforgettable. We have changed the signing status and asked for a reward, monthly ticket and comment. This chapter says that we should also try our best to roast rush to the new book list. Thank you. End of this chapter.